Pain. Hey, Baba, you've been talking to me for years.
I love it, bro.
Why don't you come over here and see what a real man's like?
He was one of my big influences growing up as a kid.
Mr. T?
Mr. T. Yeah. Mr. T. Hulk Hogan. Just like, pro wrestlers. I just always want to be a larger than life character.
I'm more of a macho man, Randy Savage.
I'm still larger than life, man. But you know what? I think it helped. Like, I'm outgoing. I speak to people. I don't have, I'm not scared to talk in public and shit. You know what I mean? Or act a fool. So I think it's helped with the communication bit a little bit.
Yeah. You're over here going, ooh, yes. The cream.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
rises to the top.
There you go.
Dude, I love Macho Man.
Because there was another punk band that came out of that school too. There was another power violence band, MPG. That's the goal. That's what I'm trying to do. That's, I'm trying to be better than I was yesterday. Fuck, dude, that's all I can do. You know what I mean? Like I said, like, you do the best you can. You try to reach out. You try to, mend some bridges if you can. And if you can, it is what it is. And, bless you.
Okay.
Which one's mine?
Either one.
Either one?
Yeah.
All right, I'll take the bottle. I'll work on both. I get thirsty.
Yeah, you had Madame Gorgonel too, huh?
Yeah, my favorite.
Yeah, she's dope. I like
She was
her.
amazing, bro.
I like her a lot. That's where I met Ben.
No way.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
It's,
That's fine.
Ben DeVore, not Nazi Ben, yeah. And I was just thinking about that the other day because I did a painting. And that's actually one of the things that made me like hit you up. Because I did a little PFR painting.
No way, it looks cool, man.
And so the microphone, try to put it like about a fist away from you.
How we doing now? Good?
Yeah.
All right.
So I put a bunch of stickers on like patches.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, all the punk bands that I like.
Yeah.
And I used to fuck around with Keith, Ben, and Chris Childs. Do you remember Chris Childs?
Absolutely.
So those fools were all, dirty, crusty punk kids.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, oh, you guys like Green Day, huh? And they'd be like, fuck no.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, you guys are so punk, dude. You guys are PFR. And they'd be like, what's PFR? I'm like, punk fucking rock.
Of course.
And I met Ben in French class and Keith in wood tech and Chris in science class.
Awesome.
So that's why I call Ben Benwy. Because if
French, oui.
Oui, madame.
Ouais, c'est bon. Magnifique.
Oui, madame.
Oui, madame. Alors.
Mm-hmm. Allez.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But so that's how I thought of you, because I wanted to put I wanted to see if you had any like patches or anything like that, because I wanted to add to it. And I was just like, dude, I know a legitimate musician, a PFR musician. And I completely like forgot about that. And I was just like, dude, I wonder what it was like for you.
Ooh. Man. First of all, thank you for inviting me. I was like, what is a positivity podcast? I was like, why? Why? But it's cool, man. Thank you. It was amazing, Doug. I was in a band for like, okay, let's go back. I got into punk rock early, like 13, 14, Blink-182 and all that stuff. I consider it punk. I don't care. Pop punk.
Yeah.
And then, transitioned to like the Casualties. I remember I was playing high school soccer, and like before a tournament, I was like listening to Rancid and Pennywise. I was like, oh, dude, I'm gonna kill it, And I missed a penalty in one of the shootouts.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I think I lost it for the team. I'm not sure, but I know I missed one. But I was like, oh man. But yeah, since then, just been a huge fan of the genre, man. And I think that's why like I've always been kind of involved or like always listening to it, because I'm just a fan,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, it was a passion.
But you played rhythm guitar, right?
Yes.
So, because I don't know anything about music,
Mm-hmm.
You just ended up like picking it up on your own. Like, did you teach yourself? Did you take like any like lessons or anything like that?
Yeah, no lessons, man. So I wanted to play guitar after I saw like, Blink 182, like Tom DeLonge, like all cool,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I had asked my mom for a guitar and she got me one. And so I just started practicing and just, doing the best I could, strumming along, learning a bar chord or a power chord, which basically could just take up all along the neck. And, for punk rock, it was okay.
Right.
And at that time, like, I was really getting into it around junior year or like senior year. And I had a Jackson then. And I
Is
was
that a
learning.
type of guitar?
Oh, was that?
That's a type of guitar?
Yeah, it's a Jackson. It's one of the like metal types you'll see with like the
Mm.
backward, the neck and like the inlays, like shark looking things and sharp edges.
Yeah.
But
That's the one
yeah,
you shred the gnar on, right?
a little bit when
Okay.
asked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I started getting into like metal too. And so, I would practice Slayer licks and stuff like that. So, like, by the time I was getting out of high school, I was like really into it, and I was all right. I was like, "Fuck yeah," I've always wanted to be in a band.
And then because I know, so we met in high school,
Yeah,
right? And dude, I actually remember the first day that I met you.
no way.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
So I met first Ben in PE class, right?
Hmm.
Little bastard. I wouldn't swim, right?
No, okay.
So because it used to spike up my hair, and there wasn't enough time to
Oh my
get as
God.
pretty afterwards
Of
as I did
course.
before. So when the other team was swimming, I would hang out with the other class. And then when my class would get out, I'd pretend to dry myself off. And then one day, Ben's just like, "You didn't swim," and I was like, "Why don't you shut up?" And like just ended up like talking to him at that time, and he had long hair, and I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, like, well, I'm gonna play soccer anyway, so it doesn't like really matter." He's like, "Oh, I play soccer too." He went to Summit at Awanda,
Mhm.
and then that's when he like shaved his head, right? And you were buying food at the little like lunch cart, and you were wearing not a Dickies jacket, but like what is it? Ben
A
Sherman,
Harrington.
sir.
Yeah.
And so I saw a bald head, boots, jacket. So then I came up and because I thought it was Ben.
Ugh.
And then I remember I grabbed you by the shoulder and like you turned around and I was like, "You're not Ben." You're like, "No, what's up, dude? Yossi." And I was just like, and then I later found out that you were Robert's cousin,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But Keith, Chris, Ben, other Ben,
Hmm.
you guys were all into like that kind of music.
Yeah.
Miguel and I always listened to it. I never dressed that way,
Hmm.
right? But then eventually you got into a legitimate punk band.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did
Yeah.
that start?
You know what? That's crazy. Yeah. I don't know. I think back. I think it's just like because there was another punk band that came out of that school too. There was another power violence band, MPG. So you have Spencer, and then you had Eddie, and I think they had I forgot homeboy's name. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Um, but anyway, they came out of Etowanda too, out of that high school.
So the Voids are from Etowanda?
No, 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 no.
Oh, okay. You're just saying that
I'm
was
just
a
saying
band.
that's another. I think like the time we were in or whatever, like people were just active in that community,
Mm-hmm.
and so I had met a friend in high school, and then like we'd hang out all the time. I'd go over to her house, and then I got really best friends with her brother, and so we just started going to backyard gigs and all that, and what comes with that, and he asked if I wanted to join. He knew I played guitar. He's like, "Hey, do you want to join this band?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, what the fuck?"
Mm-hmm.
So, I learned all the songs. I tried out, and they were gracious enough to let me in. So I'm like, "Fuck yeah, thank you so much."
Is that like nerve-wracking, like trying out for a band?
I think so. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I'm always like a nervous person. I've always never had like that self-confidence to like, I mean, from I don't know, cutting something the right way to,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean, to trying out to a band. So I think yeah, it was nerve-wracking, absolutely, bro. I can't remember. Yeah, because it was me, and then they were trying out a bass player too, and then we tried out a couple of bass players. But yeah, it was pretty nerve-wracking. But I mean, they made me feel comfortable. They were cool people, man. I love it.
But is it more than just being able to play the music? Are they concerned about like your stage presence or anything like
You
that?
know
Are you?
what? A little bit, not too much. I was trying to make everything more livelier, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think there's something wrong in the stage presence, or it wasn't as, I don't know, I just want to make things lively. It's a punk show, you know what I mean? You want to
Yeah.
fucking, you want to, move around or whatever. But yeah, I try to do it and move around, get all crazy and stuff. But I mean, I was so like, I'd be drunk or I, mess up the songs and stuff. So I'd tone it down sometimes, or I wouldn't drink before a gig or whatever. Make sure the gig's good, and then like, last song or a couple songs where I'm like, all right, we're doing all right.
Mm-hmm.
Just fucking go nuts.
That was the first band you were in. You were how old?
No, the first band I was in no band. Oh, I don't think they're like real bands though. I like jammed out with a couple band, like I jammed out with a buddy Yoni and some other dude trying to do like a psychobilly band,
Mm-hmm.
and then I remember trying to jam with just other bands, trying to be in a band, but nothing ever panned out. But I never really had the tenacity to keep it going, or you know what I mean. Just like whatever. But yeah, this would be the first like official band I was in.
And what band was it?
The band I'm in.
No, yeah, the first one, the first official
Oh,
one.
the Voids.
Oh,
Yeah, that's like
really?
the first official like band I'm in, and so I was in. So I was like, it was crazy. You just learn everything on the fly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And so like Miguel and I used to go to a bunch of shows when we were in high school,
Mhm.
right? More like the Fontana,
Yeah,
like punk scene,
yeah.
right? Like Fontana, Rialto, like Bloomington, backyard shows, ska, punk. Is that what, like the areas that you would go to like shows?
A little bit. Mostly like when I would start because I didn't drive. I would tag along with the homie. We'd go to like East LA, Almani, Rosemead, Montebello, wherever the gigs were at,
Hmm.
basically more out there. But every once in a while, I'd come out to like Fontana backyard. When there was nothing to do. I'd be like, oh, go on MySpace, see if you could find a
Yeah,
flyer.
yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
like, oh shit, there's one in Fontana. Let's go
Hmm.
look for it.
Yeah.
I remember once I went and I couldn't find it, and you could see all the cars going around just because like it didn't exist. And back then it was like MapQuest. Everyone had their directions, and so that was funny. But yeah, dude, yeah, actually, not too much the ska, like the ska core stuff. I'm not a big
Hmm.
fan of the ska core stuff, but like the two tone and like early ska, early reggae stuff. Yeah, for sure.
And then were you ever one of those, I wouldn't necessarily say like an elitist, but someone who would try to box people? It's just like, oh no, like you don't dress like how like a punker does, or like
uh,
you know how people try to categorize
all day.
certain.
Subcultures,
Yeah, yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember Miguel was in a band for a little bit, and they were
Mhm.
like a rockabilly kind of like psychobilly band. And then you have, rockabilly, more greaserish type folk.
Yeah.
Psychobilly, a little bit more like, let's say like a greaser pumped up, right? You
Hmm.
have like the quiff or, whatever. And then there's ska, and it's just like, well, ska people dress this way,
Yeah, yeah.
and these people dress this way. And I
Hmm.
remember where like the guy who was, I think he was a like lead guitarist and like the singer or whatever. He's like, oh yeah, those guys are normies. And I was like, cool, man, sure. Were you ever one of those who used to kind of,
like rank on people and
yeah,
shit. Yeah, now they would call that gatekeeping.
hmm,
That's and I guess it's still a problem. I'm not too sure. I'm not really plugged into that whole thing, but absolutely. If they look like a poser, I'd call them a poser. No,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
kidding.
yeah.
No, I'm
It's like
kidding.
name me 6 songs by the Specials.
Exactly, all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
The EP.
Yeah, exactly.
So, no, yeah, but you quickly grow out of that, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Maybe when you're like 15. But after that, you're just like, what the fuck? I don't care. Like,
yeah.
let's hang out. Plus, there was like, I hung out with like a lot of normies, There was a lot of
Mhm.
different people who went to backyard gigs,
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
wasn't just punk rockers. It was like normal people, cholos, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Um, Women, children,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
literally like all sorts of people. So you get like different cultures, man. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, like just enjoying the music,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Enjoying the art
And
form.
just, and just having a good time too, having something to do. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Keeps you out of trouble.
And then, so how old were you when you joined the Voids?
I was 19.
Okay. And do you remember your guys' first show?
Yeah.
Where was it?
It was at the Showcase Theater
Oh shit!
in
Corona.
Corona. Yeah.
Saw a few bands there.
Hell
in my
yeah.
day.
Legendary.
Mhm.
My favorite venue of all time to go to a show and to play. Yeah, my favorite. I miss
Were you
it.
nervous?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, every day I'm nervous. Yeah, yeah.
That's true.
No, I mean like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, man, I'm nervous. So I was like trying to rehearse all my songs, and I mean it came out really good. I had a great time, dude. I fucking, it was amazing, dude. That's when you're like, fuck yeah, it's rules, you know?
So then, were you a part of like the creative process and like writing the music together,
No,
or?
so like basically, later on I started feeling like a certain way because of that. But that's just because I didn't bring anything to the table either, you know what I mean? It's not like I was writing songs or anything. But like no, I was just kind of like the rhythm guitar. They had a material that they had put out already that was really good. And then they had just recorded another album that they put out, but things didn't work out with some of the members. So I was just playing that material, but it was good, man. Like, I fucked with it, like I loved it.
So other people wrote your music.
No, that band wrote the music. I was just, I just came onto the band after all that stuff was written.
Oh, okay. So it was
Hmm.
already kind of like,
Yeah, I'm just joining.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So they
exactly.
already had their music, and then you're
Yeah.
like adding on to like what they already have.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just, I was like, I'm helping you out, but it turned into me being in the band, you know what I mean?
And then after the concert or the show that you guys did at the showcase, because I know like you've been on tour with bands.
I have, yeah. But not as like a talent. I've been the road dog.
A roadie.
Yeah, number one roadie, number one road dog.
How'd you get into that?
Oh, dude, well, um my drummer, my homie, he had another homie. Well, you play gigs, you meet people.
Right.
And he's like, dude, I know you're not doing anything. And, he became my road dog, up till this day.
Hmm.
And so he's like, I know you're not doing anything. And so, like, I'm going to go on tour. He had just gone back from tour with Goldblade and GBH, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah, for sure. So he tour managed that. And I was like, oh, shit. And so he asked me to jump on tour with another big band, like from Scotland. So I was like, oh, that shit was dope. You know what I mean? It was amazing. It was man, it was like my first time away from home. It was wild. But little did they know, I had only had my driver's license for like maybe 4 months.
Hmm.
So like I was a terrible driver. I still am a bad driver, but yeah, I felt bad from yeah.
So, but when you were on tour, did you go on tour with the Voids or no?
No, you know what? They didn't. For some issues, they just didn't go on tour, or maybe it was a preference from the band. They didn't really want to go on tour. That was cool as fuck. Like I didn't mind it.
So you
I know
guys,
they did like a few dates up north with like the Cockney Rejects. That was dope. I wish I was in a band when that happened, but that was before I joined.
but you guys did play like shows and stuff like that. Like you've performed. You've been,
With the Voids?
yeah.
Yeah, man. Throughout 10 years, all fucking Key Club. I played the Key Club. I played a couple backyards that went off. I played the Airliner. I went up to Ventura and Oxnard. I played with Youth Brigade. I played with basically all my favorite bands. Like I told you, man, I'm a fan of the music.
Hmm.
And so like sometimes it's just like man, I want to see this band. You know what I mean? And like sometimes I'm just I just fan out. Sometimes I fan I mark out. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, I didn't know this was like, you know what I mean? I was gonna be a part of this.
Right.
Yeah.
See if you can move this down a little bit. There you go. Just because I want to see your fucking face. Um,
Go.
and then when you went on tour with all the other bands, what's that like? I imagine it's wild.
It's very wild. I've been on like 3 tours. One nationwide and a couple of U.S. tours. One of the tours, like a couple of the tours, I wasn't allowed to go inside the bars because I was 19.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So I'd have to wait outside and this and that. It was a bummer, but it was amazing, bro. Like honestly, you're young. You don't know. At the end of the day, like when tour was over, like you're glad to be home. But in hindsight, it was amazing, bro. Like I'm never gonna be paid to travel and play guitar or like watch one of my favorite bands on stage night after night. You know what I mean? So I decided to take those opportunities, and it was like, it was amazing. They make for good stories.
Tell me some.
You're
You're like,
putting me
no,
on the spot.
you're like, nah, man, I can't.
A couple. I got a couple. I'm trying to think of some I can tell. There's one like when I got pulled over going to McAllen, Texas. We're going towards on my first tour. We're in a van, and I'm going towards like the border of McAllen, and I get pulled over because I'm like speeding 100 miles an hour, and the cop that pulls me over, he's just like, "Come on, let's go." He gives me a hard time, hassles me, And he's like, well, you're from California. No, you got to pay this ticket now. I'm like, what the fuck? So he takes me to the constable or like the judge or whatever. It was a furniture store. And I'm talking like this Chainsaw Massacre, two stoplight street, 2007. And I'm just like, yo, what the fuck is going on here? What is this? Who are you? And so, dude, the singer did me a solid. He paid fucking the fine. It was like $200. And like they gave me the largest fine because they knew, I'm California. I probably won't be back.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, here, boom, 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 boom. He paid it out. He's like, all right, let's go. I'm like, all right. And so I'm like, all right. So then I just sped on to the next town. But actually,
You're like, to get pulled over again.
yeah, to get pulled over again. It's some more nonsense in the next town. But it was fun, man. It's cool. Yeah.
What are some of the bands that you would like go with or like seen?
Oh, so like the first band I toured with was The Exploited, kind of like one of the bigger names in punk. They're from Scotland, cool people, bro. And then I've been on a couple tours with Bad Manners, and they're a two-tone ska band, right? They're a two-tone ska band, and they were on Top of the Pops back in the day in the UK. And I was on tour, like it was a Bad Manners and English Beat tour. And we went all over the country, and that was fun. That was my favorite tour. I feel I made lifelong friends there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was amazing, bro. It was amazing, yeah.
Yeah, the Bad Manners is why I did that piece because of the PMA, the song Attitude.
No, that's Bad Brains.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Bad Brains, not Bad
Yeah.
Manners.
Yeah, it's okay.
They're both bad.
They're both bad.
But there's a lot of really good music, and I like the lyrics. I like what they talk about.
Yeah.
It's I remember one time being with at Keith's house, and we were watching. It was like some like documentary or some like I don't know, like a DVD or something like that about punk kids in like San Francisco, and it's talking about like Dead Kennedys and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I met his dad. He tried to break my hand. Dude, so like we're at his house and it's playing, and he and I are in the kitchen. And I don't know if you've ever met Keith's dad, but he looks like John Redcorn.
No, sick.
Right? He's darker complexion.
Yeah.
So, Keith's last name is Perez, right? So I see a guy who looks very Hispanic. So I go to meet him. He's like, "Oh, Dad, this is my friend Diego." And I was like, "Oh, when I started this," he's just like, "How you doing?" And I was like,
"Oh, man."
And then I go to shake his hand, and he just like squeezes it super tight. And I was like, "Oh, damn." And then I remember he's like watching the TV. And he's like, "One of these kids to get a fucking job." And Keith's just like, "They come from like broken homes, Dad." And he's just like, "It's like, and he's like trying to like put up an argument. He's just like, "Nah, fucking lazy piece of shit. Like, get a fucking job."
Oh, man.
And it just cracked me up because his dad, and I think a lot of people, you look at someone who dresses punk, right? Or who is punk, and you develop a perception,
of course,
of what they are. So is there, in your opinion, like a definition for punk? Or a punker?
Well, I mean,
punk music?
Well, like the attitude aspect of it, or are you talking about like musical wise?
Whatever you want, dude.
I think there has to be some kind of parameters when it comes to music wise. Like, like I'm not a fan of noise bands, you know what I mean?
What's a noise band? Give me an example of a noise band.
Like some dude, all right, so like let's say some guy has 5 guitar pedals on the on the table, and he's running all the overdrives, and and it's like, it's art, I guess. Art is how can I say,
subjective?
Very subjective. So
right.
Who am I? But it's not something I do. But I mean, like punk, like thrash, it goes from anywhere from hardcore, crossover, street punk. There's all sorts of mini genres within that, big label that people like to just put on. That's punk,
like an umbrella,
a super big umbrella. And then you can fit a lot of like mini, like a lot of subgroups of the music, what I mean? Power violence. There's like hardcore, like straight edge hardcore. There's 80s hardcore, like New York hardcore. There's LA hardcore, which Fear, all that old school stuff, right? There's the old LA stuff, like the Dickies, stuff like that. Then there's like street punk. There's all sorts, bro. I feel like Bubba Gump, you know what I mean?
There's
Yeah,
hardcore punk. There's
hardcore
this
punk,
cum
street
punk.
punk.
Yeah,
There's oi punk, oi. I don't like calling it oi punk. I call it oi.
yeah, just oi.
Yeah,
But there's like a kind of like not necessarily like anti-establishment when it comes to like punk,
I
but there
think it. I
is,
think there has to be like it was built on anti-establishment
right?
ethos, you know, and I think you have to be some sort of anti something to fall into it, you
Right.
know. I mean, as a kid, my mom just didn't know what to do with me. She was just,
Hmm.
you know, I was always the one bouncing around the house. I guess these days it'd be like ADHD. You'd go
Right.
get them, like, you know, but she'd be like, ay, no sé qué hacer contigo. You know what I mean? She'd be like, just like fed up.
But it is to an extent kind of like anti-authority,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Yeah.
absolutely. I think it has to be anti-authority, or I mean, it has to be anti-something. I mean, if you're just going to go along with everything, it's not really, you know, anti. You know, just be calling it like sing along together stuff. You know?
Hmm. And then it's, usually for me, the kind of like punk that I like is a little bit like faster,
Okay.
right? I don't want
Yeah,
to,
straight up.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
like, I don't know if it's harder or like hardcore, but give me some like Minor Threat,
Okay, that's
right?
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hardcore.
Yeah. So like that's kind of like a little bit like faster, like upbeat. And I know, for example, like, the Ramones
Hmm.
started punk, right? And it was
Hmm.
just like, I remember it, like, and I like the Ramones, right? But I remember there being a CD and it was just like harder, faster, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, this music is not that, to
Like,
me, is a little bit more like rhythmy, a little bit, but at the same time, I think they were kind of like a catalyst,
yeah.
correct, for like punk music, and then maybe like on the commercial end.
Oh, definitely. But I mean, like, on the commercial end, I mean, if you want to talk about Catalyst and like the pre-punk stuff, you got to talk about like the Stooges.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
T-Rex was a huge influence on Joey Ramone, the singer. You know, Slade was a big influence on these dudes. So, you know, you had bands like that, and then Television and Blondie, and they had like a little scene around
Mm-hmm.
them. You know what I mean? Um, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Reroute me. I'm sorry. I forgot about.
So again, like kind of like it being like faster, like
Oh, faster.
harder,
Yeah,
and
you know,
stuff like that.
I think
Commercial.
I'm an outlier when it comes to that. I think I'm definitely an outlier when it comes to that because I love the fast stuff, but also like I've always been like a pop fan, and
Hmm.
so I like melody. And so if you listen to a lot of the music that the Ramones put out back in the day, I mean, one of their albums was produced by the Seymour. No, it's
Seymour Skinner.
Seymour Skinner. No, the producer of the Ronettes.
Oh, okay.
You
Yeah.
know, so he produced all like the old doo-wop stuff, and Phil Spector.
Mm.
He, I
Heard
think
the
he,
name. Don't know who he is.
yeah, yeah, see, I think he killed his wife. Yeah, he's a wild one. I read the autobiography of the Ramones or whatever, said that he held them at gunpoint or something. So to like finish listening to an album. But
Hmm.
anyway,
Keep talking there,
yeah,
though. Keep recording. I just gotta check some stuff.
yeah. So like you know, I like rhythm, I like melody, and so I like that stuff from you know the New York Dolls. You know what I mean? More harsher, but like you know the Ramones has a lot of doo-wop stuff in it, and you know I love all that stuff, man. And but as far as like commercializing it, yeah, the Ramones for sure. But you had my bad, because we're gonna get into super punk nerd stuff, dude. They're gonna get me into punk nerd mode, and you gotta direct me.
Yeah, I don't know if all that stuff picked up because what was supposed to have started it, but I don't know.
Oh, so we gotta restart?
Maybe.
Okay, let's do it.
I'll see it in post.
Yeah, no, no problem. Let's
That's
just keep it going. You want
yeah.
to go through high school?
Yeah, well, let me first turn on the air because it's hot.
Okay.
Again, I thought that was also on, but just let me check that real quick.
Do you want me to switch seats? What do you want me to do?
No. You're good. You're good.
Okay.
I fuck up on these all the time.
Nah.
Like, I'm not very tech savvy.
Yeah. Oh, we're matching.
I'm
Oh no, you got a green shirt.
Did you just notice it?
Yeah.
But like, I've recorded episodes and the mic's not on.
I love it.
And I think that I did. Remember, he told me right now is it's like the last one you did with that girl. It's like the mic wasn't on. I was like, fuck. So I'm always messing up. And again, I know it was recording on here, but then it didn't. It said over there that something needed to be formatted. Actually,
Okay.
let me just double check it.
Yeah. No, dude, take your time. I don't care. Talk all day.
So then, with the definition again of, because like you said, there's a lot of subgenres,
Yeah.
right? Just like there is in like any other kind of music.
Yeah.
There's no specific thing that either makes or doesn't make something.
Well, yeah, I think you do. I think there has to be musical parameters. You know what I mean? Under the umbrella of punk, it's all pretty fast, aggressive music, and it's pretty all aggressive, anti, something. That's what makes it so punk or hardcore or whatever label you want to put it on,
Yeah.
Not exactly, country music or whatever, So there has to be some type of parameters, in my opinion.
That's where, I mean, I think it's so many different bands and so many different types of music. Do you have any like favorites? Because I think I know some of the music that you like.
The music I like.
Yeah.
Oh man, the thing is, I like all sorts of stuff, man. I like Motown. I like doo-wop. I like hardcore punk, thrash, metal, some death metal. Like basically, if I can't read your logo, I'm probably not gonna dig it. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a little too much screaming, but I like the aggressiveness of it.
Yeah.
I like Spanish music, cumbias, boleros. I like
So that's what I was gonna bring up too. So for example, you and your brother live in the same household.
Somewhat, yeah.
Grew up in the same household.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Emmer, full hip hop.
Yeah.
Right. Well, not to say he doesn't like other kind of music, but he went towards performing hip hop, like underground hip hop, and then you went opposite spectrum, like punk.
Yeah.
Do you like hip hop, like the kind of music that he listens to, or like not so much?
Yeah. So
and where is that kind of? Jorge Miguel and I all listen to the same similar genres and types of music, but I feel like there's a yin and a yang between the both of you.
Yeah. So the thing is, man, I love hip hop. I started listening to hip hop. So growing up, it's the Baker Boys in the Morning, Power 106. You know what I mean? And it was just like West Side Connection. It was Tupac. It was, West Coast All Day. It was Biggie. It was, whoever, Onyx. You know what I mean? It was, just stuff that you'd listen to on, the Fugees, because it was on the radio. It was big back then.
Right.
Yeah, man, I loved hip hop. It was like my first, exposure to music
really?
that I loved.
Yeah.
But excuse me. But like, I remember the first CD I bought was Green Day Dookie. You know what I mean? So like, there was always that. I always liked the guitars. There's always guitars in my head. You know what I mean? That I always like, man, the aggressiveness, the guitars, the sound of the crunch. I always liked it, man. And later, like, getting into high school, we both kind of blended music. My brother listens to like Toxic Narcotic.
Yeah.
And, I listen to like, some Sage, Francis, some MF Doom. You know what I mean?
Dude,
like,
your brother performed at Sage.
Visionaries. Yeah, my brother opened up for Sage Francis. It's cool, man. I was there. It was amazing. And like, it was just like, sometimes we 2Max Visionaries, that's what was huge back then. 2Max was a huge influence on them. And so like, we were just always seeking music since we were young, because we grew up in Burbank for a little bit.
Yeah.
And me, my brother, my next door neighbor, Paul G, and, and I, we go to like Penny Lane in downtown Burbank, and what is it called? Back City Records? I forgot what it was called. But like old record stores right there, like in 97, 98, when we're just growing up and just like trying to, get into music then. You know what I mean? It was always around.
Do you still write music or play music?
You know what? I lost my passion for music, man. I restrung an old acoustic guitar, and I tried playing it, but I just don't feel like passion anymore. Like I just feel like dirty. I'm not sure why, because like, fuck, I do want to do it. Maybe I'm just too self-conscious or something at the time, I'm not sure.
Does it take you back?
Yeah.
To a good place or a bad place?
A good place, because I play with all my favorite fucking bands, bro. You know what I mean? Like my favorite gig ever was like with the Varukers at the Glass House, and and that was dope because our drummer double booked. So we're like, we don't even know if our drummer's gonna show up, and he shows up like right when we're on stage. He sets up, and we end up playing like probably the best gig we've ever played with that lineup, and it was just so amazing, bro. And like, I felt so good and it's this rush, bro, that I haven't even, you don't feel like, I'm not even from drugs, man. you know, because, you know, I've dabbled in that too.
Mm-hmm.
But like just, you know, performing and just being out there and just, you know, people like, I guess, appreciating the stuff you know, you put out there, whether it be, you know, 5 people or like whatever,
Right.
you know, it feels good, man. It feels good. You feel appreciated.
It's I mean, I think it's if you want to stop this, do this. If you want to do this, do that. But I think there's a saying is like, if you want to stop time, listen to music or something like that. Have you?
I'm not familiar with that one.
I've heard like a couple of different things on like if you want to, I don't know, whatever.
Hmm.
But I again, I think it kind of smell is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of the senses that triggers memory more than anything else,
Mm.
right? But then also music,
Mm.
right? So I remember if
Oh, I see. Okay.
so like if I smell clear ice gel,
Mm.
right? It takes me back to getting ready in high school, and listening to like Radiohead, like Pablo Honey,
Okay.
or like Vauxhall and I, which is like a Morrissey album, which you love. But there's certain music, like when you hear it, or if I hear like Lisa Lisa or like Debbie Deb,
Hmm.
it takes me immediately back to like being like 3.5, 4 years old,
Oh,
being
wow.
in my aunt's car, her little
Hmm.
Nissan Sentra, because she's, I don't know, I think 12 years younger than my dad,
Hmm.
right? So she's maybe like in her late teens or like early 20s when I'm a little kid.
Well, that's cool.
And then so like I hear Lisa Lisa or Debbie Deb, and it just takes me back to being like a little kid in her like Nissan Sentra going like get food with her or something like
That's
that.
cool. Yeah, yeah.
So like when you play music, does it like take you back to that? Does it like
I think certain songs, certain bands do. Definitely,
Mhm.
depending on which ones they are. You know, yeah. I mean, I have memories attached to certain songs or whatever.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it depends on what genre. But you know, if I play CCR, I think of my family. Like, you
Mhm.
know, spending time with my mom, my dad. If I play, you know, Jose, Laura, Laura. It reminds me of family gatherings, you know what I mean? Being from El
Mhm.
Salvador and, you know, just, you know, having a good time with family, cumbias, you know what I mean? Sonora Dinamita takes me, you know, my family and just, you know,
Right.
Christmas, you know, Thanksgiving. I try not to listen to sad songs, you know what I mean? Because obviously I get sad, but yeah, man, sad songs. I love them, bro. Heartache.
So you never just break out the guitar and play some Wings?
Wings?
Yeah, you guys know Wings?
Nah, man, not lately. I want to learn a bunch of just like bolero music, but you know, I'm just you know, it's just about sticking with it, and I just haven't completed a project in so long that you know what I mean. I got no confidence to be honest with you to complete one.
Where do you think that comes from?
Just because I've just been, I feel unaccomplished, just like I feel like you know, professionally or whatever. Whatever, I just feel I haven't been like you know 100%, or I haven't put my you know my entire whether it be wants or needs, you know, for myself, you know, first.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
So then do you feel like you just haven't been putting your best foot forward?
No, I feel like I've been distracting myself with like, you know, all sorts of stuff, you know? Like, so I recently stopped drinking. And so,
Congratulations on that, man.
thank
Like
you.
when you told me, I was just like, dude, like good for you. And I think I told you that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'm proud of you for that because I know it's a difficult thing to do.
Okay. So thank you. First
Mhm.
of all, thank you. Appreciate it. You know, and it's not to be like, oh, thank you. You know what I mean? But it's like fucking, you know, it's tough for some people, you know, and some people understand it and some don't, you know, but the people who don't understand, you know, the way people feel when they're, you know, trying to sober up or whatever, you know, maybe, you know, I'm sorry. No, take it. I heard that one.
Oh, you still got it.
But like, sometimes, you know, you guys, you know, do it for yourself at the end of the day. But that, yeah, man. So basically, I was a civil servant for a little bit. I was, you know, it was a job that,
Servant, like
a civil servant. Like,
you're a butler.
I was a mailman.
No, okay, that's from Pineapple
Oh
Express.
my
He's
god.
like, I'm a process server. He's just like, you're a servant. He's like, no, process server.
What a fool.
So you were a civil
I was a
servant.
civil servant.
All right, so you were a mailman.
Sort of. It was a CCA. I filled in for all the mailmen who wanted to take a day off, deservedly. Letter carriers, shout out letter carriers. They do a lot for the community.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I was fulfilled. I love the job, dude. You know what I mean? I just felt like, man, I love my, you know, I feel like I could do my, you know, do this every day. And I had not felt that way in any job. You know, I've done all sorts of jobs. Being in punk rock doesn't mean that, you're jobless. You got to pay for your beer and your
Mm-hmm.
party favors and and your cell phone, just bills. I mean, you have to have a job. So I've had all sorts of jobs, whether I kept them or not, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
But there was always a work ethic, a need to, to be in a job and to support what you have to do.
Be productive.
You have to,
Right.
whatsoever, whatever it is, go get a job. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? At the end of the day. Um, you know what I mean? But like, what was I saying?
You were a mailman. You
Oh
enjoyed
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Felt
yeah.
fulfilled.
So I was fulfilled. I loved it. I was it was crazy because I would get like a little bit of serendipity. I was working in the same area where we first lived as a family.
Mm-hmm.
So like in the mid city area, when we first my first memories were like on Venice and Oxford, and just walking around there, walking by Pio Pico School. Like this is just stuff I'm coming out the my head. And then I'm just walking, delivering my mail, and I'm just like, man, I was like, why is all this so familiar? It's like coming back little by little, man. And like, I figured it out. And I was like, oh, snap. I texted my mom. I was like, oh, it's crazy. You know what I mean? But long story short, what I was supposed to do was I was supposed to give the postal inspector my printout of my courts. Now, myself, I got a DUI when I was 21 years old. Okay. I was 21 when I got it, and it should be off my record, right? The thing is, I never turned it in, in time. And since this is, not exactly a private enterprise, everything's by the letter of the law, this and that. And so they said it was an administrative decision. Long story short, they had let me go. And then, I was like, fuck. I thought, I always bounce back. I always land on something. You know what I mean? I had never like gone down in wage, whatever it might have been. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If I was laid off from a job, I'd actually get a wage that was like $2 more on the next job, because I'd kind of put my, effort into it. And I have like good references. I'm like, I've always been a good worker. You know what I mean? And so things weren't really bouncing back as they were. You know what I mean? And I just got into my head a lot, like a lot, man. Just no self confidence, and I just started drinking. Like I found myself drinking every day, just because it was like easy to attain. You know what I mean? $5 for a 40, and then later on, just like shots because they're why drink all this beer when you just drink,
Get straight to the point.
of course. And so like I was never one to drink half a cup of wine. You know what I mean? I was always getting drunk, dude, like always. And that's the point of going out for me. It was never like fucking let's have, half a beer and, a couple fries,
Yeah.
That was never my thing. And I respect the people who do because they're better people than I am, man, because I can't do that.
Different
But
people than you.
different people, man, and people are people. So yeah, mad respect, but that's just not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I recognized that early. And maybe that's what, kind of separated me from going to punk gigs and stuff. Even though I was playing in the band, I wouldn't go hang out because I knew I was going to go drink, and I was scared of that DUI. I just wouldn't go hang out. And then I just kind of like, that went to like be more involved in work, getting myself more involved in work. I was, doing all sorts of work, but, I was at a spot for 5 years. And then I leaned into like the cannabis stuff because I love cannabis. I've always had a lifelong, love of the plant and, in general. And I went and joined like the, California cannabis, market or whatever, the, the overall industry, legal industry. And it was cool. I leaned in and I excelled at that too. You know what I mean? It's just,
At what capacity?
well, I started off with this company where I was just shipping stuff out, shipping the carts out to the dispensaries and that's it. And then we'd go packaging, cannabis cartridges. And it was like the thing is, I was working with like the people were like really good at their jobs. And it was like a mix of like young people and like, how can you call it, like doñas? You know what I mean? Like, dude, it was just so fun at that job. I had so much fun there. It was just like bullshitting all day, every day, English, Spanish. Everyone got along, you know what I mean? And so, but we were, you had to, produce. And that's why we bullshitted so much because we were really good at our jobs. But anyway, that company ended up from, shipping from one shipping container and now they're like multi state. So they're in different states. Some people I came up with are like in another state, doing stuff. And, you know what I mean? It's good to see. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm happy to see that stuff. And so, I've done all sorts of stuff, you know what I mean? And like, I always felt the need to keep a job to, to do all that stuff. But I guess that's also like, drinking too much, you know what I mean? Being involved with like, a lot of blow, that was my drug of choice, you know what I mean? Shove a 8 ball up my nose and I'd be okay, That's not healthy, obviously, but I thought I had it under control,
Hmm.
just because I wasn't out doing it every weekend, or because I was I wasn't destitute. You know what I mean? But I knew something was wrong because like the moment I had a beer, it's like, dog, I need to get a sack. You know
Mm.
what I mean? And so yeah, that just persisted, dude, all the way from like fucking, I don't know, young age into, not too long ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what led you to make the decision to stop drinking and to stop using whatever?
Substances.
Correct.
Well, a lot of things. I was getting drunk every day, dude. It wasn't my thing. I lost
Do you
it.
know, sorry to cut you off,
Mhm.
why you were? Was it like self-deprecating, like depression?
Well, I mean, I was definitely
Was it,
depressed. You know what I mean? I was trying to do other things too. It's not like, I tried to set up like a Depop shop. I was doing pretty good there, like reselling stuff. Either it be like old Fred Perry's or new Ben Sherman stuff, or like name brand stuff that was new with tags, or I'd resell shirts from bands I liked. You know what I
mhm.
mean? Like I wouldn't sell a shirt of like a band I wouldn't like or whatever. And so, and plus, I had a bunch of old shirts. Excuse me. I had a bunch of old shirts because I'm kind of a t-shirt hoarder, and I was into that punk all that. I don't want
Mhm.
to get rid of my stuff. So some of them like were pretty cool. You know what I mean? So it went pretty well. I just didn't feel as fulfilled, and so it just got to a point where like nothing was making me happy, and I'd rather get drunk and fall asleep, and hopefully wake up the next day and here we are, you know what I mean? Like another day, but like another day, you know? I knew I was depressed. I didn't go and like get therapy or anything. I have had a therapist before, but I'd be taking like depression naps and miss his like call. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? He just got over it. He was like, fuck this. So I never got back to asking, or, inquiring about it. But, I was like just doing, recreationally doing drugs. Stimulants were my choice. I hated going to sleep early. I want to be awake for the whole party. You know what I mean? And so, little by little, I just found myself, whether I was doing well, I'm sorry, just whether I was doing well, Depop shop wise, or whatever it might be, little side jobs I was doing. It'd always go back to like drugs and alcohol. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be like reinvesting into my business, or reinvesting into something that might help down the road. Whether it be getting back into school, whatever.
So
So,
whether you were happy or sad, you were reverting back to
oh yeah,
partying.
always,
Mhm.
always. It turned to like like a way of life, a
Mhm.
lifestyle, and pretty much sometimes, like I told you, I was scared of like the DUIs, right? So pretty much sometimes I just hold myself up and just buy a 30 pack and buy an 8 ball and be like, yo, this is safer than driving everywhere. You know what I mean? But I'm obviously not doing so well.
And was that to, let's say, like, because like you said, it's like another day,
Yeah.
right? So it's like the mundane part of your day. Was this like, let's add to it? Or was it like, I want to go out and have fun? Am I drinking to suppress feelings or to actually feel something?
I think everything except drinking. I mean, doing it to have fun, because the fun stopped a long time ago. It became a chore. you know? And then when I'd get like all fucked up or whatever, I wouldn't even be having fun. I get all sketched out, and then I just get all like, what am I doing? It wasn't even fun. It was
Hmm.
just like a habit. Okay. It was a chore. And I was just like, man, what the fuck? I was just in the same circle. Obviously, you don't want to be honest with yourself. You're not being honest with yourself at that time. So, it's, what are you going to do? You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
With like, were you going out to drink in a party or at home?
No, at home.
At home.
Because I would think that it's safer just being at home, like, or catch a checkpoint,
Hmm.
or make a wrong turn, or your registration's done because you're too busy partying to pay it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, these are all things that like just snowball. And then like right now, I just feel like a little kid sometimes. He's just like, just checking in with my brother, like, yo, what's up? What's good? You know what I mean? Just trying to make it, stay, do the right thing. You know what I mean? But like,
So was it a quick slippery slope or a gradual
I think
slope?
it's a gradual slope. I think a lot of things were fucked up with me. Like, I mean, in the way of like of how I felt. So let's say, do you want to do? Okay, we'll get into like this. Okay, so let's say in this slippery slope, right? So drugs and alcohol weren't really like a huge thing. Like it would be like a weekend thing, party thing, whatever. But I didn't really start like getting back into it until after like, I split up with the child and my mom and
The,
with my child's mom or
mhm.
whatever. And I had more free
I was like,
time.
you split up with Emmer?
No.
The child of my mom? Your brother?
Oh man, my heterosexual life partner.
So you and your baby's mom,
Yeah, yeah.
your
I mean,
daughter.
she's clean cut, straight laced, wonderful person. She has her master's, a doctorate. You know what I mean, or master doctor, one of those.
Right.
Mm, a great person. But the thing is, obviously we weren't working out, and it worked out best.
Hmm.
So I had more time on my hands, and I was feeling sorry for myself. I was just, just a fucking wreck, dude, and just drinking and drugs. There's a picture that one of my homies has that like I hate, and I think that's like the pinnacle of my. Obviously, it wasn't the pinnacle because I feel like I got worse, but that was like one of the low points in my alcoholism. Like that picture, we went to go see Motorhead, and who opened for them? It was who was it? I forgot.
RuPaul.
No, it was Saxon. And Saxon's an old English metal band. They fucking ripped, by the way. And this was I think the last time Lemmy really toured before he passed. So that was cool, but like I was all fucking drunk and a wreck. So those years progressively, like I'd get a good job, I'd clean up for a little bit, I'd get a good job, lose it, I'd get a good job, lose it, right?
Were you losing it because of alcohol and drugs?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'd be showing up the next day just like, running on no sleep, all fucked up or whatever. One of my bosses was like, dude, are you on drugs? No.
No.
Yeah.
Why do you ask?
No, dude. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, guy.
Yeah.
I feel bad now because they're not stupid either.
Right.
But he was probably doing me a favor.
And when you were sobering up for a bit, like, was it like weeks at a time, months at a
No, yeah, it
time?
would be like weeks at a time, like a couple months. I'm doing really good. As far as the drinking, I don't think I didn't. Damn, dude. I think the drinking brings the stimulants and stuff into it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? The more I'm away from that stuff, I think the more, and like the more I can refrain from all that.
Right. Kind of go hand in hand sometimes.
I think for myself, yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like, well, I'll smoke when if I'm drinking, I'll have a cigarette.
Yeah,
Some people are like
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
They just kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I just killed two birds with one stone. Just stay away from alcohol.
At what age did you start drinking?
Oh, dude. Probably freshman year of high school, like 14. And then I just got like smashed. Just didn't know when to stop.
So was it again just like always like at 100, or was it like have a few beers? Again, I know that you said you can't really, you're not a person to have a beer with some fries,
Yeah.
right?
I'm not.
But it was just kind of like from like 14 on,
Yeah.
it's been like pretty like consistent.
It was pretty consistent. There's times where like I would stop, like when I had my child or whatever, or whatever. When I had my child, when my daughter's mother had my child,
Hmm.
we were living together. It was really cool, man. I enjoyed it, and I was off the drink. I wasn't drinking much. I wasn't doing drugs. Like I wasn't even smoking weed then. Things just didn't work out. And that's the whole thing.
Hmm.
But progressively, as things don't work out, I just returned to drugs and alcohol. And plus, like, there's a couple incidents around that time, like, let's say, around that time that happened that, might also contribute to why, I've been feeling like shit too.
Hmm.
So, like, I was working. Okay, so I was working. Well, let's say, hold on. Okay. I was, I was drunk. I was super drunk. And then I tried to score some drugs off some website and it wasn't what I thought it was. It wasn't what I signed up for.
Uh-huh.
Next thing I know, I'm in a paramedics in the back, and I'm like, "What the fuck is going on?" I'm in the
You
bed,
mean the website isn't what you thought, or the drugs aren't what you
the
thought?
drugs,
Okay.
and so I felt like Mia Wallace.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Fuck, dude." So I woke up on the gurney. I called I called two people when I was on the gurney, and I was like, "Fuck, bro." So that really fucked me up. That made me kind of double think what I was doing for the time being. Okay. After that, I had a really good friend. We all had a really good friend who just oh no. Before that, I got I was working at Sam's Club, or a big box retailer, and I got run over by a forklift. And so that really fucked me up. That was like the only day I had work boots on. I was pulling a pallet this way, like, walking backwards, looking at, trying to see where I was going. This guy had his forks in the back. I don't know if you guys know what, stand-up forklifts look
Yeah.
like, but they're in the back, they're curved in the front. And kaput. Like, I'm like this on the side, bro. That was like the only time I wore work boots to Sam's Club. And I was like, they had to roll out, like, he had to reverse off me and all that. And so I was just, in shock, dude. And I got into like really like bad depression then. And so I was really, really down and out when that happened. You know, um, I don't know. I was out of it, man. And then like I had a friend who was like a really good friend of us, childhood friend. He ended up like taking his life. And I think that really like added on to more of like this all this bullshit I was going through, you know what I mean? And I just used it as an excuse to just get more fucked up, when you should be really just confronting it.
So when you had the incident where you ended up in the back of a paramedics,
Yeah,
or
ambulance,
ambulance,
ambulance.
hmm that what was going? Do you remember what was is it like before? You were just like any other night, you know?
I remember cracking my beers, being all happy like I just scored, pound a couple of beers, like, all right, I'm going to the bathroom, right? Here I go. And then I just did a couple of key bumps, and that's all I remember. That's all I remember until like I'm in the back of an ambulance, and then I am in a gurney.
hmm
And so I was just very surreal, very surreal.
Do you remember what the first thought of when you came to was?
Yeah, what the fuck? Like, where am I? Like, what's going on? I quickly figured it out. The paramedics like, did you do it on purpose? I was like, no. He's like, okay, because we got to know. Otherwise, we got to reroute you or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, no. I was like, whatever. He's like, okay. So you just need to do that. And that's all I remember until, because I was still passing out, you know what I mean? In and out. And yeah, man. That was some fucking brutal, gnarly stuff. Very introspective, like introspective.
So obviously not the intention, right?
No, not at all.
But then, and if you don't mind me asking, like, how did you end up at the back of an ambulance? Someone found you, like,
Yeah.
what? How did that kind of like come to? And then, like, you're at home, or you said that you usually would do it at home because you wanted to avoid, which to an extent is pretty good thinking, right? Like, I want to avoid.
Yeah, there's some logic to it.
There is.
Not saying it's appropriate logic or wants to use, but I mean, there's something to it. There's some thinking to it.
Yeah, there's a method to your madness.
A little bit,
right?
Dude, have we really been talking for an hour?
Mhm.
Oh my god.
At least we have a lot of audio. And then I'll do cartoons.
All right, cool. It's all good.
So it's typical Friday night,
hmm
and you're gonna have a typical Friday night,
Yeah.
right? Go on a website,
hmm
and unfortunately, you get a bad batch. Is essentially what happened, right?
Yeah, it wasn't even the batch. It was like a completely different drug.
Okay, so you wake up in the ambulance,
Yeah,
right? And then you're like, "The fuck? What's going on here?"
absolutely.
And the first thing that they ask you is like, "Hey, did you do it on purpose?"
Yes.
And would you already like, "Oh, I fucked up," or like this happened, or were you like, "What's going on?"
No, I knew I fucked up. You're in
Mhm.
the back of an ambulance. You fucked up somehow. And, no, you got to answer the guy no, you know what I mean? Because of the rerouting, you got to take you somewhere else. But Friday night, I'm there. I took a couple key shots. I was ready to go. I cracked my beers open. My brother had found me. He's a respiratory therapist, and he found me fucking not breathing. And so he performed CPR and he called 911. And I'm thankful that he found me because I probably would have stopped breathing too. For a prolonged period, I probably would have been brain dead or something.
So he came home and found you in the bathroom?
Somewhere.
Oh, so you didn't even know.
I don't know. I completely just space out, blackout.
And then, so then they take you to the hospital?
Yeah, I was in the emergency room and they discharged me after I was like soberish. They felt that I was feeling a little better.
And then what was your thought process, or like, what did you think, like, once that happened? Like,
I don't know what the fuck
uh,
I'm doing. What am I doing? But these are that's the same question I asked myself plenty of times, you know, and I just never steered the ship, you know. I
mm-hmm.
just ask myself and I lay in, you know, retrospect, and then I just ponder and you know, lay in retrospect and just never do anything to fucking change my habits or to change the way I am or the things I've been doing.
So after you got out of the hospital,
Hmm.
how did that kind of like make you feel? Like, I'm done with this.
I felt like shit.
Like,
And, you know what? I did feel like I was done with it for a minute, but I remember going back to partying like almost like next month or whatever the fuck. My bro, you know, my family, my brother especially, was always like, fuck, man." You know what I mean? Because he doesn't, you know, he smokes weed, but he doesn't drink or do drugs. So he's just like, "Fuck, man," like get together, almost fuck, man. Then he just got tired of it. You know, he'd come home from work some days and you know, he works overnight, comes home at 7:30. I'm still like, we're still going, you know? And he's like, fuck, man. Like, you know, he acted like it didn't bother him. But, you know, when you don't do that stuff and then you got to like convive with someone like that, I can, you know,
did that create tension with your guys' relationship?
definitely. We had fist fights. We've had, you know what I mean? Some okay, I mean, some reasonable, some weren't, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but like, I think when you live with anybody or even work with anybody, you get whatever, some kind of tension. You know, you see these people every day or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, it's better to just like talk it out. You know what I mean? And when you're all fucked up or whatever, or you don't want to, I don't know, like pinpoint it, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You just skip all that talking shit and just
Yeah.
assume you're right.
Okay. And then, so you had that episode,
Yeah.
and then, but it wasn't enough at that time to kind of
To stop.
just stop,
No,
to have you stop.
no,
So was it scary for you?
absolutely. In retrospect,
Yeah.
I had already been run over by a forklift. So I thought I was not only not invincible, but it gave me it dropped my fear of death
Mm.
because dude, I thought I was gonna die, but like it felt like I faced it or confronted it, and it felt like,
Came out on top.
yeah, you know, um, arrogant thinking, you know what I mean? But that's what made me feel like, you know what I mean? I can handle whatever comes my way or whatever I put in my way.
Was your daughter born when you had your episode?
Yeah, she was around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she wasn't like with me.
Right.
Yeah,
And then that still wasn't at that point enough for you at that time.
not at all.
And then you went back into the habits,
Yeah,
right? And then I know that you mentioned, a friend that we've had. I don't really know what happened with that. Um, I know something. I don't know if he was on something,
hmm,
and that led him to it. I don't
hmm.
know if he was just prior to that and not, maybe having that um, component added to it, if it would have changed things or anything like that.
I don't know. Those are some things you know you just don't know. Like I can't answer. You know,
Hmm.
no, it's not really my place to. But also, I just don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I fucking miss Apple.
Uh
You
huh.
know, I think we all do. You know, and it weighs heavy on some of us. But you know, it was his choice, and I just have to respect what happened.
Hmm. And then that also wasn't something that kind of like was able to nudge you in the right direction.
Not
Instead
at.
of changing, you leaned more into it.
I leaned way more into it. I leaned heavy. I just yeah, because it's easier to just fucking lean into self destruction or whatever. Not even self destruction, because at the time you're just like, dude, I just want to party. You know, leave
Hmm.
me alone. I'm right.
Yeah. And was it to, again, kind of escape feelings of,
Yeah, absolutely. Feelings of everything, just abandonment issues. You know what I mean?
hmm
Obviously, I mean, you know, one of your closest friends. You know, and I was working closely with him for like the past year and a half before it happened. You know, it just like you know, you spend every day with him and, you know, that happens. But, you know, sometimes I feel bad. Sometimes I blame myself because I'd listen to SOD and thrash with him, you know, and there's a song called Kill Yourself, you know, and it's a tongue in cheek, you know, and asshole-ish because that's the type of humor we all had or have or whatever, right? But sometimes I think back and I'm like, well, maybe, did I do something?
Mm-hmm.
But I can't, you can't blame yourself, man. You can't control other people.
Right.
You can't, man. Yeah, whether you want to control people, whether you want them to think the way you do, whether you want them to, choose this option, you just gotta, take them for face value and just pray for the best, I guess.
Let people do what they're gonna do.
Yeah, but you have. I think you have to be sick of your own bullshit. You have to be sick of yourself. You have to look at yourself and be like, dude, I'm so sick of myself. Like, what am I fucking doing? Because I've been going through it, bro. And like I've been going through some of the steps, and I reached out to some of the people I've wronged. You know what I mean? Some people have been, welcoming. You know what I mean? Like fucking, they'll take my call or something or my text. Um, and some people don't want to be reached, and that's okay. Everyone has a, whatever. I mean, everyone has a feeling, certain feelings, and I respect, how you feel and whether,
Mm-hmm.
but I have connected with a couple of people. We were really shitty to each other, and I feel like I'm kind of getting over that hump, and so it just I guess closure, but I mean, this is a lifelong project, you know what I mean? This
Right.
isn't fucking 6 months, it took me fucking 15 years almost to get here, you know? And it's not going to take fucking a few months to undo all
Make
that.
amends.
Habits, learning things, hobbies, just how I've been living for the past, I don't know, 15 years, man.
So what was your rock bottom? What is, or was there something specifically that happened, or was it just kind of like an accumulation of things and you were just like, fuck it? Like nothing specific, or was there a pivotal moment or a point where you're like, nah?
You know what? I think people have different rock bottoms.
What was
And
yours?
was mine? I think I've had different ones.
Okay.
I've had ones where I'd felt like I was at the rock bottom and I'd go lower.
Mm-hmm.
I thought my rock bottom was a DUI at 21. You know what I mean? I thought, and then like recently last, I was out of control, I was just jumping in DMs, treating people really unfairly and stuff, and just being a dick. And I was really just all fucked up, and you know, um, there was a point where I found myself. Because I was into like the hookup culture and all that stuff because it's easier to just separate my feelings. You know what I mean? And so, I was like, dude, I just met this chick. An hour later, I'm hooking up with her, and we're like smoking drugs. I swore myself to myself I would never, do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, dude, I'm just so fucking sick of myself. I'm sick of what I do. I'm sick of like what I'm doing, the position I'm in, the position I put myself in. You know what I mean? Um, is it all my fault? No, but most of it, yeah. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like, this is what it is. You just got to build up, man. Like, you got to accept what the fuck, like, okay, well, I accept I'm in this shitty situation. It's hard to accept anything, be criticized, you know what I mean? Whether it be constructive or whatever, it's just I'm just in a vulnerable spot going through it, and yeah, it's easier to criticize when you're in a vulnerable spot because you're a lot more honest with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and um, you're a lot more kinder to yourself too, because it's easier to forgive stuff. You know what I mean? Like if you treat someone like shit, or if you didn't call someone back, or you know what I mean, like or you jumped in someone's DM, when you shouldn't have. Um, you're just like, man, you know what? I wasn't in the state of mind. That's not how I am, or that's not how I'm, choose to be anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and move forward. You know what I mean? So I think when you're kinder to yourself and you're like that vulnerable with yourself, you can like kind of like criticize yourself a little more.
And then you were doing things that you never thought you would be doing, and then
Sir, I was smoking methamphetamines.
okay. And then you're like, fuck, man, I never thought I'd be doing
Never.
this.
Well, I mean, it's happened accidentally a couple times, and if you partake in stimulants that go up your nose, you might, it might have happened to
Get
you
it
a couple of times,
inadvertently, right?
inadvertently, it happens. But these were on purpose, and so that's what scared me. That I was out seeking this specific drug that I had never, seeked ever, And I remember hitting up my drug dude, and he was just like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "For who?" You know. And then and then what did I do? Because like obviously these people don't want to support me in this decision. You know what I mean? Even if it's whatever, if a normal society is like a scum villainy decision,
Hmm.
these people are still just like, nah, dude, what the fuck? They care enough for me to just be like, no,
Even them, yeah.
even them. So what did I do? I went back on that website. Okay.
Hmm.
What did I do? And I scored a fucking sack. Okay. I went home. I got super drunk. I was on a sick one, and I just had a breakdown, had an
Hmm.
episode. And that's when I just really, really asked for help. Obviously, the things I've been doing to try and, advance my life, career wise, education wise, whatever it might be, is not working, hasn't been working, and isn't going to work because I just, my culture, my mindset, my whatever upbringing, I haven't changed it. And I'm trying to, I need help.
Hmm.
First person, I called my brother, I'm like, dude, I need help. Like, I'm fucked up, and he's like, well, you're just on a sick one. What? He's over it.
Hmm.
And I was like, dude, no, just it helps. Like, fuck. So he's got to come out to the casita. And my mom was going to come by to drop some food off or whatever. So she saw me. And I just told them both. I was like, dude, I've been, I was smoking meth and I want to stop. Um, Honestly, it was probably, I've smoked it like 4 times. You know what I mean? And that was like enough for me to stop because I just found myself just like, oh man, maybe I should smoke some. I should go get some. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Maybe this will have some. It looks like he does.
Hmm.
And so like I just like that thinking. You know what I mean? I've never had that like, oh fuck, maybe I should just ask some fucking stranger for fucking drugs.
Hmm.
You know? And so that's not okay. And so like I was just and I've been up all day, 3 days, you know what I mean? 4 days, just on a super sick one, psychotic episodes, I'm breaking down. The neighbors are next door wondering what the fuck are going on, metidas and shit, you know what
Hmm.
I mean? And it's like, my mom went with me to AA that day. She took me and I was bawling and everyone who saw me there just like, fuck. The guy's in front of me, he's like, man, he's got to learn. He's got to learn. And I'm like, fuck, yeah.
So that was the first step that you took, was to reach out to your brother and to your mom.
Absolutely. Tell them that I'm fucked. I'm fucked up. I'm fucked up as in I'm super intoxicated right now. I will be intoxicated for the next few days, you know, and I can't do this on my own. And I need help. I'm telling you about this because I can't do this.
Hmm.
I see you guys don't smoke meth, or do
Yeah.
drugs, heavy drugs. So please, like, help
Hmm.
me. And so, it's hard. It's hard to say that, it's hard to admit that you're, not exactly healthy, whether it be mentally or physically, you know what I mean?
Emotionally.
Emotionally, absolutely. Well, yeah, emotional health, immense emotional health is looked down upon. It's fucking, stepped on, you know what I mean? Growing up, you can't show any emotion. You get your ass beat,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Just, and I've always been an emotional dude, like kid. I
Hmm.
was a fat kid growing up, you know what I mean? A little sensitive fat kid, ADHD, just running around, no silver teeth, couldn't afford, couldn't afford to get my teeth
You
fixed.
weren't running enough, or you weren't running around enough if you were still fat.
That's true. I got, you know what? And that's how I got, that's how I met Robert. So check it out. My mom, I'm sorry, let's get back to where we're going, then I'll go on the tangent.
Right.
Okay, so what were we saying?
So you were on a binge,
Yeah.
right? You're on a really downward spiral,
Yeah.
right? Asking for drugs that you had never asked for,
Random strangers.
random strangers, and then you were actually on those drugs when
Hmm.
you came to the realization is it's like, man, I can't do this anymore,
Yeah,
right? And I can't do it on my own.
absolutely not.
So then you reached out to family,
Absolutely, because those
right?
are the people I trust. Like
Right.
the people I trust, the people I hold dear to me, the people who I know. Give me, dude. I've given the last $5 in my account to my friends. You know what I mean? I don't
Right.
care. Money ain't shit. You know what I mean? It's about like that emotional support, like listening to you. Actually taking what you say into consideration. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And even at the time, like my past relationship, it wasn't supportive like that. I was mocked when I was when I told them like, yeah, I want to go back to a therapist. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I just knew I wasn't in a good spot, and that added on to a lot of things. It just snowballed into a lot of things, and so I can't do it alone, and I still can't, bro. What the fuck, And this
Hmm.
is a fucking lifelong thing, bro.
And then your brother and your mom pulled up, and then that same day you went to AA?
That night, I found it was a Galaxy fucking. I think it was on Monday. They were, I don't know, it was like the Galaxy opener or something. I think that's what I remember. But I went to AA, and yeah, dude, it's sad, scary, sad. I don't know what the fuck was happening. It was all packed. The thing about it is like, you got to find a meeting that
Works for you.
that works for you exactly. The one I went to originally was like super packed. I needed a sponsor. You couldn't get one. It was just packed. People would just need what they need. I found another group which was cool as fuck. So I went there a few times and stuff.
What's the first day of AA like for you?
Scary. You just shut up and listen. That's all you can do. I just shut up and listened and cried. I was still on a sick ass one. You know what I mean? And just like bawling, just crying in there, man. Couldn't control myself. Just wondering how I got to this point.
And was it, I assume you felt vulnerable?
Yeah, I've been feeling vulnerable since I've been feeling vulnerable almost all my life, man. But I've been feeling extra vulnerable since I lost something that I care for a lot, which was my job that fulfilled me, that gave me that, desire to wake up, the desire to kind of like buy into a system or like buy into something where you saw yourself. And I never saw myself in a steady job or anything like that. So when I saw where I felt like, oh, I can never keep a job, yeah, but I fucked up. You know what I mean? I should have done it sooner and even whatever. But I think that's when, all that, dude, and that's when it started like extra vulnerable then. You know what I mean? Because you're just like, man, I love this, and I thought it worked out for me. You know what I mean? And it just didn't.
It's something that made you happy.
Yeah, man, it made me real happy. It fulfilled like emotionally, spiritually. I'm not a spiritual person, but like I just was happy to wake up every fucking day.
So feeling for you.
Yeah, man.
And then it gets taken away.
Well, in every aspect, yeah, I fuck it up.
But it's maybe a byproduct of some of the things that you had done, but
Probably. Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But it's removed from your life, and then at that point, maybe the vulnerability that you had initially been feeling, probably your entire life, just multiplies.
Definitely, bro.
Right. So
Most
then
definitely.
you start to maybe indulge a little bit more and like more frequent, more often. And then you're probably making mistakes.
Yeah.
Right. But some of those mistakes aren't big enough for you to want to change your life.
Not at all. But even
Right.
though they are big,
And even though they're
Huge.
life threatening.
life threatens. See, you see that?
Yeah. And it's like, well, like, damn, that was crazy. I'm gonna do it again next month, right? Obviously not with that goal or intention, but knowing that that was already a possibility. It's something that happened before.
Absolutely.
And then it just kind of like continues. Like you said, you hit multiple rock bottoms.
Multiple. Oh yeah,
Right.
multiple rock bottoms.
As we do in life, right?
Yeah, as we do in life, definitely. So then, I felt that was a rock bottom because emotionally.
Right.
Okay. Substance wise, it was just, being on drugs, drinking, partying more, whatever. Jumping into people's DMs, being very inappropriate. Like, you're married. What's up? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Scoring drugs from that. I think that's the catalyst. That was the catalyst of scoring drugs from that same website from where that happened.
Mhm.
And that really was man, that fucked me up. That fucked me up. I'm trying hard to articulate the feeling of just going back to something to where you almost killed yourself.
Mhm.
And though it wasn't, you're saying it wasn't like, it wasn't a goal, but it happened. But I had no problem in going back. And it was just absolutely, I don't know. It's scary. It's scary because that's the thinking, I was at, you know what I mean? And
Did you? Sorry to cut you off.
Nah.
Did you want to live?
Yeah, yeah, dude.
Or were you okay with like if I go, I go?
I think I was okay with if I go, I go because
Not like I'm gonna go jump off a bridge, but
No,
it's just
no.
like
But like, hey, I almost died in this fucking industrial accident. Like, these are things that might happen. Maybe I'll develop a pulmonary embolism. I did a paper on that. Those just randomly fucking pop up and people die from that shit. Like, I kind of accepted the fact that like death is always around us, though we don't acknowledge it because it's not an everyday thing,
Mhm.
but it's something that's come up in my life that has happened. You know what I mean?
right.
So like I wasn't exactly scared of it, nor am I like now. But I do feel like I'm more value to myself. I give more value to life in general. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I wouldn't be like, oh, if I go, I go,
Right.
I'd be like, well, what the fuck? What's the issue?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, man, I've been there. I've been at that state.
Right. And then was that something that when you were through your episode and when you did ask for help, was that something that where you're like, dude, if I keep on doing this, I'm gonna die?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it's just like, I don't want that.
I think that's what, okay, yeah. I mean, the thing is that that's happened and I still did it.
Hmm.
You know what I
But
mean?
the last time,
Yeah, the last one, the most frequent one is that's exactly, I saw myself because I was so lost and I realized how lost you can get into that stuff that I saw one of my neighbors has an issue with that stuff too. And like Sunday, I went out to get something from my car. He's like, come on, show me what you got. He's like, I'm the real fucking deal. I'm like, dude, like, he's got issues, and I hope he, gets the help he needs, but stay the fuck away from my family. But he's like, come on, let's go, let's go. And like, he had been threatening his family, you know what I mean? And he's living out of his broken down car in the front. And it's just like, it's easy to slip into, you don't think it'll happen to you, whether it be that type of breakdown, which it might be his bottom, I don't know.
right?
But nothing positive is going to come out of it. You know what I mean? I don't want to sound like a fucking after school special, but
It's, I think the reason that there's some things that are so cliche and some things that are so stereotypical is because it's true,
yeah,
right? Like some of the things that it's just like, of course, but it's like, no, like take it for what it is.
yeah,
And those things kind of, there's a reason that people say that because it has helped people or because it does resonate.
hmm
And being kind of like open to just even like the after school special shit.
yeah,
It could be something that will kind of like put you to where you need to go. But I want to know more about the AA, right?
hmm
So you're in there, you feel like shit, you feel vulnerable.
absolutely.
Did you speak the first day?
No, I had to go to like a few meetings or a couple meetings, and then I spoke. I decided to speak. One of the guys told me that you guys really don't speak at all. I guess like the old school dudes. There's old school people in AA. There's
Hmm.
all sorts of people. Like like in life, cliques.
Yeah.
There's cliques and everything, and it's just human nature. It's weird, but yeah. I mean,
So you went in the first day, you heard everybody out, and
yeah,
then you went home.
yeah. I went home, and then I just focused on sleeping,
Uh-huh.
eating, sleeping, recovering, and just to be of a sound state of mind.
Uh-huh.
Because that's part of like one of the definitions of being sober.
How long was it before you went to your next meeting?
Oh, like I was going like twice a day, twice a week, or maybe 3 times a week. You know what I mean? I was
Hmm.
like kind of hitting it hard, bro. And then I was just like, I don't know, like I just didn't feel as comfortable like at the meeting. And then I opened up to my brother, and I didn't have a sponsor at the moment, and then I just kind of lean on him and a couple other people on the property I live at. They're like long time sober, so
Hmm.
they're always just like hit me up, let me know, with anything.
Hmm.
So they've been very helpful and very like emotionally supportive.
Was it, how physically difficult was it for you to either wean off or like to, was it cold turkey?
It was cold turkey, yeah. But the thing is, it's like yeah, yeah, okay. It's cold turkey. I mean, I smoke cannabis. I've always smoked cannabis. We smoke all day. But yeah, dude, I stopped alcohol cold turkey. I mean, I was at the point where I was like walking back and walking to my car and walking back to the 7-Eleven door, walking back to my car, just and making decisions on whether to buy a beer or not.
Yeah.
And so like I feel like yeah, I couldn't sleep. I still have trouble sleeping at night. Or I'll go on an Uber ride. Like I'll be driving Uber at like 12 o'clock because I can't sleep. I'm having trouble sleeping. Um, I don't know what it is. I'm just stressed. You know what I mean? Just thinking about all the things and, like it's to recover. Dude, I slept for like 2 days almost, not straight, but like I'm sleeping, like I'm tired, bro. And it just zaps your brain.
What goes through your brain, or what are the feelings, what are your thoughts when you want to drink?
Oh,
In the beginning, are they different now? Is it like, fuck it, I can't do it, or I shouldn't do it, or it's just like, what? How does that
well, the,
play
the
out for
the
you?
drinking thing it really hits hard because I've known I'm not a good drinker since I was fucking 21. So I've been fighting myself for all this time, you know what I mean? But I just feel like, it's a hot day, you're thirsty, like, man, I feel like fucking drinking. Or I get a stressor, You know what I mean? Like, they didn't pay my bill on time, or I sent it on time and it didn't charge. What the fuck? You know what I mean? I want to drink. It gets. I'm not counting days now. Sober days. I don't get like those like, oh, I gotta go drink, but like, like habits. Like, dude, I've been going to soccer games my whole life. You know what I mean? I go to a soccer game, dude. I'm gonna be surrounded by people who drink, and that's a stressor. That's like an outside stressor for me. I'd rather remove myself from these situations and get myself better, man. Like, and try to accomplish like something in my life that I feel proud of myself.
Mhm.
You know?
So when you're, because I think I'm fortunate enough to where I used to drink,
Yeah,
right?
we used to drink together.
Correct, right? But for me, fortunately, it was very easy
Hmm.
to not do it anymore.
Why?
Right?
How?
I'm not sure. I know definitely when I started when I incorporated and I had clients before I had the office, before
Mm.
I partnered up and stuff like that, dude, it was 7 days a week,
Yeah.
right? It
Hmm.
was like working Saturdays, working Sundays,
Hmm.
like evenings, going to Starbucks in Hawthorne and then
Hmm.
Riverside and then West Covina. It's like I was just trying to establish myself and establish my business. And I remember one day just going into like an appointment and being hungover.
Hmm.
And I'm like, dude, it's unfair to my clients
Hmm.
that I'm not going to be able to give them 100% of what I have to offer. And they're trying to get themselves into a home. And they're paying me money that they work for. And it was a couple, like, bunch of kids living in an apartment, Russian
Yeah.
infested. People
Yeah.
tell me their story and their background. And then I was just like, dude, that's unfair, right? That I can't give everything that I have. And then I don't think I was ever a person who, I didn't grow up with alcohol in the house. My parents didn't drink,
Yeah.
right? That
I
was
love
just
your
my
parents, by the way.
shout out to my mom and dad.
Shout out.
Um, it was just us,
Hmm.
right? But I was never a person where it was just like, well, I had a long day at work. I want a beer. That was never me.
Okay. Yeah.
And there was never alcohol in my house.
Yeah, I made it easy, huh?
Yeah, I
Because it
think,
wasn't a habit. It wasn't like something you see every day. Like it wasn't accepted, right?
yeah, and I think it made it easier for me because it wasn't a norm,
Hmm.
right? And I think if anything, I would be more considered like of a binge drinker because I would drink like once a month or twice a month, especially when I worked at the bank. It's just like, not to say that I didn't drink when I was at the bank or that I didn't show up fucking hungover or anything like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was like on the weekends or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel that too, man. Just be okay, weekend warrior type shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go, Friday comes on, you buy your 18 pack, dude, and it's time. Let's go.
And one of the things for me was I didn't really like how I feel when I drink,
Hmm.
right? Like I don't like not being in control,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's never been a social lubricant.
Okay.
It doesn't like make me like, well, I won't dance like unless I'm drinking. I won't not talk to a girl like unless I'm
Well, you're
drinking.
outgoing. That's the thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm outgoing too to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
If I know these people, I'm very outgoing. But
Yeah,
I think, yeah,
in certain situations,
there you go.
right? So like I've never needed it where I think sometimes people do,
Hmm.
and like that's okay. And then there are certain people where it's just like, I get it, man. Like you're stressed out, right?
Yeah.
You need an escape of
Yeah.
some sort, right? You take a lot of our friends, right? You're in the medical field.
Hmm.
You see death every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I get it that when you get home, you want to disconnect,
Yeah.
right? But I'm not in the medical field. I don't deal with that kind of
Stress,
emotional
yeah.
stress or anything like that. Although, I think anybody, especially business owners, you do deal with
Yeah.
stress. And if it's not work related, it could be family related or emotional.
You're on
or
24/7, yeah, man.
all the time. But I've never wanted to numb my feelings,
Hmm.
right?
Were you encouraged to talk about your feelings?
Always.
Really, as a kid?
Yeah.
Okay, I love it. That's beautiful.
Yeah, my parents we've always had that like open communication,
Okay.
right? So a thing that I live by, some of the things that I used to try to tell my niece is like, look, homegirl,
Hmm.
it's like you cannot control what happens.
Hmm.
You can only control how you react to what
That's
happens.
true. That's very fucking true.
And I would tell him like, I never want you to stuff your feelings. I never want you to bottle them up. I want you to feel what you need to feel.
Mhm.
If you're mad, be mad, homegirl. If you're sad, cry. But once you feel what you need to feel, then you need to decide how you react to it. And I've been a person that has always had that ever since I was like a little kid.
Wow.
To where I feel what I need to feel, but then like immediately it's like that's heart, right? Your brain doesn't have enough time for you to sort through your feelings or anything like that. So it's like you're gonna feel what you're gonna feel.
Mm-hmm.
But then afterwards, my brain has been very good at rationalizing things.
Okay.
And then it's just like you decide how it affects you, if at all.
Yeah.
And then I think it takes too much time, effort, and energy to be mad or to be like angry or anything like that.
Well, I mean, as I get older, I'm starting to realize that, there's context and there's nuance in everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Whether it be people, situations, whatever it might be. And, well, we live in a society or culture that, we fostered like a soundbite. You know what I mean? Where like 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute, you get monetized for, people see you get clicks for a minute and that's all you need to pay attention to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where we're like, I don't know, I think that's where we're at, where like there's no like extra thinking. You say rationale, reasonable thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's that extra critical thinking being exercised in our time today. And so I think stuff like that, rational thinking like yourself, you know what I mean? I think it's few and far between right now.
Yeah, and it's sometimes people are too emotional.
Oh, I think I am too, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm all over the place, bro.
But there's nothing wrong with having emotions, right? And then I think people sometimes, like you said, it's just like being a man, you're not supposed to show emotion.
Yeah, it's not encouraged.
But at the same time, it's just like people don't understand that emotions doesn't mean that, or being emotional doesn't mean you're being sad or doesn't mean that you're being, I think some of the emotions that people kind of associate with like weakness, like vulnerable or something like that.
Well, people would say vulnerabilism is weakness, but I don't think so. I think I mean, they're different words with different meanings, but people conflate things.
But it's like, I've heard and we know of people, it's just like, oh, so emotional. And I'm like, you're emotional because anger is an emotion. Just that your emotion is an aggressive one. Or it's like, but it's just like, that's an emotion. Anger is an emotion. But if someone's crying, they're emotional. Right? So it's just like, no, like emotions are something that you can't, or you can try to bottle it up. You could try not to feel it.
Oh man, that was me as a kid, bro. Oh, those were the worst. I'd go on like anger tantrums and just because I didn't know how to like healthy, how to release it healthy, I couldn't talk to my mom about it. I felt like I couldn't, Maybe that's just me being a little kid. You know what I mean? I felt like I couldn't talk about it, and we didn't really have like a male figure in the house, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I grew up with my mom. My dad did show up later in life, but like, it was just basically my mom, my brother, and I. And so like, I was encouraged as I got older to talk to her about all sorts of different things, you know what I mean? But like, maybe that's why I'm more emotional because, I was raised with my mom, and we're just encouraged to talk more.
And I think I do my best to try to sort my emotions.
I don't. I'm a mess.
I have to. And one of the things that has helped me, and one of the things that, like, dude, I love biking.
Oh, okay.
Right, and I love running because that gives me fucking me time. Right, a lot of times I try to bike without music.
Yeah.
Or I try to run without music because if I'm listening to music, I can distract myself with the beat or the lyrics.
No, I see.
Right, so it's like, or I can focus on something other than that. But if I'm running and I have nothing going on, it's like there's only so many trees that I can look at.
Yeah.
Before it says like I have to face my emotions and my thoughts.
Oh.
And when I bike. And a lot of
it makes me sick.
And that's a lot of people. You don't want to confront yourself.
Never. Why? Why would you?
Because it's all bad.
Of course, because
right?
I'm the worst person in the world.
And that's why people drink to forget. Right?
Okay.
It's just like I don't want to deal with this, so I'm going to drink.
Yeah.
Right. Or sometimes people drink to feel something. Right.
To be loved, to be accepted, to have validity.
It's a warm embrace.
Yeah, I get it.
It can be a warm embrace, right? I was telling my dad actually yesterday. The other day I was on a walk, right? I usually go on walks around my neighborhood. My little weighted vest, sunsets, because I'm a basic bitch.
Yeah, I
like
love
sunsets.
It. Yeah.
But I'm walking, right?
And
I'm fucking taking a picture of this fucking cat. And see like a little like bush moving. I was like, the fuck? Some kid sitting there, right? And it just reminded me of a kid who just got yelled at. So then he's just like, went out to like get some air or something like that. And I told him, I was like, hey, man. I was like, you okay? He's just like, yeah. And I was like, you sure? He's like, yeah, like, I'm all right. And I was like, oh, like, what are you listening to? He had headphones on. He was
Mm-hmm.
listening to the Smiths, actually.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, of course you are.
What is this? Yeah, what is this? Yeah, I
And I'm
love
like, of
it.
course you are. If you want to be in your feelings,
Yeah, there you go.
pop on to Morrissey.
There you go.
And then I was just like, oh, dope, man. I was just like, I actually just made a Smiths t-shirt. He was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And I combined, Anna Nicole Smith with like this song and blah, blah, blah. So I ended up like talking to him, right? Ends up, this kid's like 16, 17, just moved out here from like Montebello,
Nice.
right? So he told me he's having a hard time at school because he's like a little weird. And
Hey, you're in LA. There, everybody's a weirdo. If you think you're not a weirdo and you live in Los Angeles, you're the weirdo.
But long story short, dude, like he's had a very hard life.
Mhm.
Abused by his dad, right?
What?
He was telling me that he saw his dad try to take his life.
Oh,
He's
fuck.
just like, when I was a little kid, and I was
What
like,
the
"Man."
fuck?
And then I was just like, how old were you, man? He was just like 14. And I was like, how old are you now? He's like, I'll be 17. And I was like, so it wasn't when you were a little kid. So how traumatizing is that to a little kid?
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And he kind of told me the story about it. He told me he had 2 older brothers and like a younger sister or something like that. One of them is like a year or 2 older and they get along. But his other brother, who's like 21, 22, used to molest him when he was little.
What the fuck?
So he doesn't get along with him. Right? And that's the one who like lives with his dad, and his dad's like an alcoholic and like, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And now he's living with his mom and like his aunt. And then he's just like, yeah, so like I'll drink sometimes. And I was like, oh. And he's just like, yeah, it's like sometimes like at night, like I can't sleep, so I'll just go in the liquor cabinet and I'll just drink. And I was like, oh, like I don't want him to feel judged or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what do you drink? He's just like whiskey. And I was like, how's that taste? He's like, horrible. And then I was just like, he's just like, but like it helps. And I was like, do you feel like it does?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, man, like sometimes we feel or we drink because we want to numb a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and other times we drink because we actually want to feel something. And I didn't want to be like, you ever done cocaine? But I was just like, you ever heard of a ice bath?
Oh my
And then
God.
he's like, oh, I have. And then I was just like, so aside from having like physical benefits, and I was just like, and like muscle soreness and all these different things,
ice bath, yeah.
I was like, it has a lot of neurological benefits. And I was like, it releases dopamine, epinephrine,
Wow.
a lot of like different things. And I was like, and I don't know if I'm using a placebo effect or if I'm just trying to psych myself out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, but dude, sometimes I get emotional. And I was just like, but I jump in that fucking ice bath for 2 songs and then I get out and I tell myself I'm happy now.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and it usually ends up helping. And I was just like, and again, I didn't want to ask him if he's on cocaine.
No, of course.
I was like, and I was like, they say it, I don't know, like 2 to 4 times. It'll last 2 to 4 times longer than cocaine. And it's 200% or like 300%, like
the benefits,
high.
you're saying the endorphins, dopamine and all that.
Correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, so if you want to feel something, I was like, try taking a cold shower. He's just like, that's a good idea.
That is a great idea.
And he's like, I've been thinking about getting into like religion. He's like, what do you think about religion? I was just like, in what regards? He's like, well, the thing is, he's just like, my religion doesn't accept me because I'm gay.
Oh, wow.
And then I was just like, well, I was like, religion as a whole. And I was like, and there's different religions. And I was just like, I think they can be a good basis. And I was just like, there's actually a song called Bibli, Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth. And I was like, so they have, I was like, it could be a good,
oh my God.
it could be kind of like a good way to like be a good person, right?
Yeah.
So I think at the core, that's what a lot of religions are.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, but there's a lot of things that I don't agree with like religions. And I was like what you're talking about. And I was like, you mean to tell me that because someone has a different sexual preference, they're not going to get into heaven? Or because someone didn't get baptized? And I was just like, so you can take what works for you out of any religion. And I was just like, take what you like out of Christianity, take some stuff out of Buddhism. And I was like, read the fucking Quran.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can find things that can help you. And I was just like, and then discard everything else.
Yeah.
And then he tells me, he said, do you believe in heaven and hell? And I said, I do. But probably not in like, the traditional sense. And I was just like, maybe not the way that you're thinking. And I said, but I believe that you make your own heaven or you make your own hell. And I said, I was like, my brother just did a podcast with someone. And I was like, and her son committed suicide.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry to hear.
And I was just like, so that lady is living in hell. not by her doing, but she's here alive on this plane, on this earth, and she's
Yeah.
in hell. And I said, and there's a lot of times I was like, there's a book, Dante's Inferno, or, the Divine Comedy, Inferno by Dante. And there's a part where he's going through hell, and I was like, and there's a door, and I was like, he has a guy named Virgil, and it says like, from this point forward, there's like no turning back. And he tells him, he's just like, even though you may not see me or hear me, he's just like, I'm like, like an arm's length away from you or whatever it is. And I was like, so when he enters, he's going to go through the 7 depths of hell. And I was like, but that's the thing. I was just like, once he goes in, I was like, there's ghouls, there's monsters, there's dead people, there's a burning river. And I was like, you hear the yelling, you hear the los llantos, like you hear all of that. And he's like in like a forest, and it's all this like bad negative stuff. And I was just like, but you decide on whether you focus on that or not. And I was like, because you can look at them and be like, shit, like that's what's going on right now. And I was just like, but that's not where he's going to stay.
That's true.
He has a guy that's going to take him out of there. And I was just like, so yeah, sometimes we're in shitty situations. And I was just like, but you can't just continue to focus on that. So it's like, you got to like push through. And I was like, and you got to understand that a lot of the times we make our own hell. And I was like,
yeah.
Just like you can make your own heaven. I said, as cheesy
as that's crazy. Okay, yeah, for sure.
And I said, as cheesy as it sounds, and I was just like, I'm in heaven right now, bro.
Fuck.
And I said,
oh, by the way, I'd like to say thank you. You do a lot for the community. You do a lot of outreach to the community and stuff. It's very admirable. You and your family, whole family, mama and papa. And
thank
so,
you,
dude, it's amazing. And I admire you. I greatly admire you.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, bro.
Thank you. Try to impact someone who is at arm's length, right? I can't change the world. I can't change what's going on in Israel and Palestine. I can't change any of that shit. But even talking with this kid is like, maybe I gave him some tips on what he might be able to do, and maybe I can make him feel like a little bit better. Maybe I can give him some tools or like different perspectives. Yeah. That's more than anything what I was trying to do, is to try to give him like different perspective. Because what I told him is just like, look, man, I was like, I'm a basic bitch and I like sunsets. And I was just like, but I know that I'm doing something that's good for me. And I was like, I have this fucking vest on. It's 45 pounds. He's like, is that a bulletproof vest? And I was like, no, it's a weighted vest. And I said, but
you're like, it's for anxiety.
It's a hug. It's a warm hug.
Yeah, exactly.
But I told him, I like the fucking feeling of the wind on my face. I was like, I love the cold weather. And I'm like, in the wind on my face. And I was like, and seeing the sunset. And I was like, dude, I like, again, it sounds cheesier. It sounds as like, oh, but it's like, no, dude. I was like, I like that. And I was like, and knowing the fact that I'm doing something that is good for my health.
Yeah.
Wearing this fucking extra like weighted vest. And I said, looking at like the sunset. And I was just like, even like talking to you. And I said, when I'm done here, I said, I'm going to go home. And I was just like, and my mom just got the best of bad news.
Yeah.
I was like, she has stage 0 breast cancer.
Yeah.
And I was just like, but she has options, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, so even though it's a shitty situation, it's just like, well, stage 0, we caught it early.
Fuck yeah.
Right? And I was like, and when I'm done here, and I was like, I'm going to go home. And I was just like, and I know that I'm going to cook for my mom and for my aunt, who I'm so grateful for, because my aunt's been taking care of my mom like a fucking nurse.
Yeah.
Making sure she takes her medication, cooking for her, like doing all these different things. And I was like, and I'm going to make them fucking food. And I was just like, and then we're going to watch a movie. And I was just like, so even though it's a shitty situation, and I was like, and as cheesy as it sounds,
you're making the best of it. Like, yeah.
It's like, I'm in heaven right now, bro.
Yeah.
And I was just like, so you make your own hell, you make your own heaven. It's
even in a shitty situation, right?
It's just like, it's all about perspective.
Yeah.
It's all about how you look at things and how you rationalize them. And yes, you're going to get into your feelings. And yes, you may feel sad. And yes, you may feel mad.
Feelings bag, bro. I'm just like, I got all of them mixed up. Mm-hmm. And I have all of them, dude. And like all sorts, angry, sad, happy, excited, I'm excited. This is new beginnings. I feel, I feel a little more clear-headed. I feel as if I can accomplish more because I'm more committed to myself, you know what I mean? Just really getting down to why I was doing these shitty things, It's I got a lot of feelings, but you know what? A lot of that, like, I kind of, I'm not really like, my circle's a little smaller now, So sometimes I do get lonely and like, oh, maybe I want to share my feelings, my good feelings, my bad feelings, you know what I mean? I feel like the struggles, the good stuff that's been happening,
Yeah.
And so that makes me feel like I'm doing okay. I feel like they say trust the process, right? I hear that a lot. A lot of people do. And I'm going to sound cheesy, but trust the process, man. If you've gone this far, like, what are you going to fuck it all up for? You don't see the little, like, the work you're putting in each day because you're you and you're going through it. Some days it's just like, man, maybe, Like I feel like I'm not gonna make a good decision today, but I end up going to sleep or doing something. So
I think there's not necessarily a caveat, but there's something that you can kind of change with that, right? So I have a friend, entrepreneur, so we'll talk about like business and stuff like that. I'm like, yo man, like how you doing? And he's like fucking stressed out, like
yeah,
this is going on, blah blah blah. Been sleeping at the office, or you've been sleeping here, like this and that. And I'm like, okay, but like how you doing though? He's like, bro, I just gotta trust the process. I just gotta trust the process. I was like, I get that. I was like, you ever thought about enjoying the process?
oh no, yeah, exactly, never. You see these because I think of it like not so much as like, I mean, I should think of it like I should be happy that I'm regaining parts of my life, or
Taking back control of your life.
I am, and I'm ecstatic, but I also feel like it's been hanging on my neck for so long that it's been like, how can I say, like it's more of a chore that you have to do this shit. You know what I mean? It's like not so much that like I'll enjoy myself, but like I have to do this, and if I don't reach those goals, then what the fuck am I even doing right now?
So that's one of the things on goals, right? I listen to this meditation almost daily. I've slacked off, but there's two meditations that I listen to almost daily, and one talks about goals, right? And it talks about intentions. So goals is the end fucking result,
Yeah.
right? So like if we walk out here, we look at Haven, I see Mount Baldy, right? So if I'm focused on fucking climbing Mount Baldy and that's my fucking goal, but what if when I get to Mount Baldy, the view isn't what I expected?
Yeah.
So it's, yes, you need to have a target, you need to have a goal, but it's that step in front of you. Because if you're too focused on that goal, what if there's an opportunity that's just as good or maybe even better, but you're just like, nope, over there, over
That's
there.
wild, yeah.
And then you miss everything that's in front of you. And then what if you don't make that goal, but you enjoyed everything that was in between? So it's more about like the intention is what you can control. Like you can't control the goal and you can't control the outcome of things. You can only control your output. And whether you look at it in a different, just trust the process, trust. I'm like, no, Dick, like, don't just trust the process. Like, and I know it's difficult, right? And I know that, you can't fake it till you make it. You can't just lie to yourself.
You can't.
But you can fucking try. You can try to look at it differently.
I mean, lying to yourself isn't going to work.
No.
But, looking at it differently from a different perspective,
It can help, or I can tell myself that, right?
Yeah.
I can tell myself that I'm enjoying this, even though I might not be, and I can continue to try to look at that, and I'm going to continue to try to do everything that I can so that it's more on the positive side instead of like, fuck, I got to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, I got to, it's like, nah, man.
I mean, I'm enjoying being sober. I'm enjoying not getting pulled over and being worried about anything. I'm enjoying being able to, even if I got a busted taillight, I'm not going to jail because I haven't done shit. You know what I mean? So like, I enjoy these aspects. I enjoy not being hungover. I'm the worst drunk too. I hate being hungover. Dude, I enjoy a lot. Dude, I enjoy being there for my daughter when I'm with her. I enjoy just being there as I'm present. Just enjoy the present moment. And I'm enjoying the present too, man. And I'm trying to find something. So I leaned into like cannabis cultivation, right? That's like you said, you love running. It makes you feel good. Endorphins. When I was a kid, my mom would help like have me tend the roses, keep the flowers watered in the back, and I just always did that as a chore. But I kind of knew how to do it, how to kind of do whatever. And and I'm like, one day I'm just like, man, why can't I try this? And I did, and I fell in love with it, dude. And just cultivating, like you said, I kind of have like a control issue in that aspect, but this lets me kind of release some of that, and where I can control the parameters of like the environment, what I'm gonna smoke, the strain, cultivar, whatever it might be, but it gives me a little more sense of control in my life.
And it's again, like what I would try to tell my nieces, right? It's like, control what you can.
Yeah, dude.
There's no point in fucking stressing over things that you can't control.
That's true.
It's like, control what you can.
Yeah, man.
And then like everything else, dude. And then,
oh yeah,
painting actually is. I've done 3 fucking pieces so far.
I love it.
These are all George's.
I love George. Great artist. I love him.
Dude, he's been telling me since COVID, like, fucking paint. I'm like, no, Dick, like, I can't draw, right? You can draw, Miguel can draw, like, both my nieces can draw, my dad can draw. That's not a gene that was passed down to me.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, so it's in the family.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And obviously, you get better at it as you practice, but I get frustrated because I can't do it.
Me too.
And then as I'm painting the last one that I did, it was supposed to be a Medusa. And then I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
And then if I'm focusing on the goal of it being Medusa, I would have been upset. But then I just started fucking around with it, dude. I got my clippers, like, and then I just like, fuck it, do this. And then I just started to enjoy the process of like creating, and I ended up falling in love with the fucking piece that I did.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So it's like, control what you can, and then like the rest is just kind of like, let it be, man.
I love it.
And it's a really therapeutic way, as the stereotypical things. It's like, oh, I get lost when I'm painting.
I get so you just feel that summer breeze drifting away.
The other day, and again, like I've even thought, and I'm like, dude, I need to buy my own paint so I can paint at home.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
And I'm like, no, because this gives me an opportunity to do something with my brother.
Oh, cool.
So I just paint at his fucking house, and he has everything. And then when I go to Michael's and I buy a bunch of shit, and I just keep it at his house because it gives me something to do with him and to talk. And you know, we talk about all kinds of stuff, personal stuff.
Well, I mean, at our age, it's hard to just connect with people like that, whether it be family or friends. You know what I mean? Everyone has their own life. It's super busy, kids and all that. So I think it's amazing. Yeah, man. Yeah, I think we have to fit some of that into our daily lives.
We have to, and it's a lot to do with perspective. And this is something that actually that you and your brother and I talked about one time. Because I would talk to him, you know, like semi-frequently. And then I don't know if he said it or if I said it, but I'm pretty sure it was him, where he said, he's just like, I think when you get over the fear of failure, he's like, you need to get over the fear of success.
I am scared of success. I am 100 million % fucking scared of success in all aspects. In all aspects. Like, you know, I was like an honor roll, you know what I mean? Growing up, I think I started slacking off, like, you know, when it started getting into punk rock and all that stuff, PFR. But it's like, but I mean, I just stopped academically. But I mean, when I was younger, it's like, yo, if you put your, you know, mind to this, like, dude, you can do whatever you want. I've had friends come up to me telling me, yo, dude, like, if you focus, like, dude, you could be you could be a doctor, you could be whatever you want. It's like you have the charisma, you know how to talk to people, you know how to, you're not dumb, you know what I mean, you're well bred, you know, just stuff like that. And I don't believe, you know, maybe because I don't believe it's stupid. I saw that imposter syndrome thing. I don't think so.
We all suffer from it.
I think is it different than scared of success though? It sounds like it is.
I mean, I think it's different, but it's kind of like a parallel.
I had a mentor, and one of my cannabis jobs that I love her so much. I appreciate her. She always guided me in the correct direction, and she gave me a book on getting over success. Did I crack it open? Diego, I'm telling you, bro. Like, fuck, dog. My mom said, it's como hablando a la pared. Like, she's like, oi. And it's like, and then it's just me. And fuck, man, what the fuck?
And we think that we're insignificant. We think that we're not worthy. We think that, you know, we're not smart enough, or, you know, this is something that happened recently, right? I think my brother paints dope, right? I think he's super creative. I think the things that he does, and I'm like, oh, you lucky bastard. Like, you can draw. And like, you can, to me, it was not necessarily like envious, but to an extent, and I'm like, dude, you can put something that's in your brain and you can put it on paper. I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think I'm creative.
Yeah. Me too. I think so too, but not that kind of creative.
Exactly.
I'm more of an ideas guy.
Correct. Like the shirts that we make.
Yeah, I got great ideas. You guys can do them.
I'm an idea man. I thrive on an idea. You keep on shooting me with your goddamn negativity.
Exactly.
But, to me, it was like, again, I have fun making the shirts that I do. I put a bunch of Easter eggs in them and I combine shit. I think I'm a super creative person, but I'm not an artistic person. I'm not a person that can draw, right? And then my brother, a lot of people have asked him, you know, to do work for him and to paint certain things. He did like a Messi. He did my Kobe.
Wow.
He's done like a bunch of shit. And then like his friend told him something like about a gallery. And he was just like, you know, just a little kind of like self-doubt. He ended up going, and the lady told him like, dude, you're an artist. Like your art is like on point and it's like on trend. And he was telling me, he's like, dude, when she was like, because he told her, he's like, well, I have some, you know, like stuff that you can look at. And she's like, oh, you brought stuff? He's like, no, like pictures. And she was showing him on the phone. He's like, dick. He's like, I was fucking sweating.
Mm.
And the gallery that they went to is in Beverly Hills, right? And there's the guy who they were displaying at that time. He's like, dude, he had like a fucking painting that was like 15 feet big, like leather, like big ass, like dope ass, like artwork. And she's looking at that one.
No
And he's
way.
just like, dude, it's fucking Forrest Gump with the goddamn Mandalorian.
No mames.
And he thinks he's gonna like judge her on like his like paint strokes or
Yeah.
this or that or
But
whatever.
it's how it made her feel.
And one of the things is, and it's funny because I can tell him things that I wasn't even applying to myself. And I said, you might not be able to paint the Mona Lisa. You might not be able to do intricate artwork. And I was like, stop comparing yourself to other people.
Yeah.
I was like, just because it's different doesn't mean it's not art.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't mean that people won't like it or that people won't like resonate with in a certain art piece.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept on telling him this shit when I wouldn't even fucking try art fucking 3 weeks ago.
Exactly, right?
So you can tell someone, you can advise.
Until you start doing it.
And then it's like, why don't we take our own advice?
I started, you know what, dude, now that you mentioned that, I feel that so much because, I'd be telling, my daughter or whatever, come home with her little problems.
Okay.
And they're not little problems, they're her problems.
Exactly.
But, because she's a kid and those are her problems.
Mm-hmm.
And so I spoke to her, and she's like, oh, what should I do here? And like, oh, do this and that. And I never found myself taking that advice. I'm like, what a fucking hypocrite, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what am I, like, come on, man, get your shit together. But like, it's cool, man. But I think I've always found myself surrounded. Now that you say like Jorge is doing good, George is doing great things. You're doing beautiful things. You know what I mean? Your family's doing beautiful things. But I've always found myself surrounded with ambitious people who follow through with their passions. I had one of my childhood friends from Burbank. He was in a punk band, and he toured Europe with another punk band. You know what I mean? We went to school with a World Cup soccer player.
I got his phone number.
You have his phone number? Exactly. So at Burbank, I went to school. Matilda was also, it's weird. It's just weird how I've just always been surrounded by ambitious people where you're just given a good, you know what I mean? It's a good environment, dude. But I don't know if I surrounded myself with them, you know what I mean? Yeah, in whatever aspects they do, whether it be or music or whatever have you, art. But it's just I always feel like I've always, you tell me your friends and I'll tell you, right? Yeah.
Tell you who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I think we also, one of the things that my brother had told me one time is, again, we get Debbie Downer on ourselves and we don't hold ourselves as high to a regard that other people might, right?
You don't know what kind of regard they hold you, because doesn't it sound so self-centered and really arrogant to be like, how do you feel about me?
Yeah.
How do you feel about me?
But one of the things
Yeah.
is he made a good point, but it still didn't resonate with me at the time. I'm like, shut up, you idiot! You don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, you don't even have hair. No, I'm kidding.
How dare you?
But it's being, I don't know, maybe objective or subjective. Again, you may not think of yourself in a certain way, but other people might.
Yeah.
Because he told me, he's like, Dick. And he's like, you run a business.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you run 2 businesses because of the clothing line. He's just like, and then your business. He's just like, you're single. You're like this, that, or the other. He's just like, other people look at you in a different way that you don't see yourself, in a different light. And I had to spin it back and throw it to him.
Yeah, because you do a lot, man. You do a lot. Maybe you don't, because you do it every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of your repertoire. This is what you do. This is your career. You know what I mean? But who else has done community outreach? Also, giving back to the community, raised, Christmas presents for the less fortunate yearly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? This isn't a once and done thing. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? I've seen there's a lot of people on the internet too who I guess in punk rock and shit too. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, I gave to the community today.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Peace and anarchy. You know?
Yeah. Peace and anarchy.
Yeah, but I'm impressed. Because dude, you built your businesses. You're wholeheartedly. You're just giving, and you're just a giving person, dude.
Yeah.
And I've known you since I don't know, 14, 15.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's what I mean when I'm surrounded by ambitious people.
And that's one of the things. It's an ambitious person, but to me, I'm just a person.
Yeah.
And no one is special, but we're all special. You know what I mean? We're it's that guy is no different than you,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
You all put on your fucking pants
Mm-hmm.
one leg at a goddamn time.
That's true.
And that's what I told Jorge when I was talking about the work. And I was like, bitch, do you know who Basquiat was? And I was like, he was a
Mm-hmm.
homeless kid. And I was just like, and then Andy Warhol saw some of his shit. And again, I could be butchering this because I took an art history class in fucking college.
I only went to his opening right here in downtown. That's it. To like that little thing they had my ex took me.
But it's like, he's no different than anybody else. He's just a fucking person. And he was able to do great things. And just like anybody else who has done great things, they're just a fucking person. And you're a person too. So you have the ability to do great and awesome and fucking amazing things. But sometimes we think of this like, well, who am I?
Exactly, bro.
Like, who am I to have, let's say, like an art gallery? Or who am I to do this or to
Bro,
make an
it's like
impact?
you're in my head. Yeah, man. Absolutely. In all aspects of my life. You know what I mean? Maybe that's why I don't want to work hard. Not that I don't want to work hard, you know, like there's dignity in all work, you know, but like maybe, you know, I don't want to challenge myself to the next step of whatever career I might be in, you
Because
know,
you might fail.
because I might fail and I don't want to fail, even though I'm not even that advanced, you know.
Mhm.
It's crazy how the human mind just fucking psychs you out of things, man. I'm psyching myself out of it.
Bro, I psyched myself out of painting for fucking 36 years because I thought, "Oh, I can't draw and I can't do this. Like, I don't have the same skill set that my brother and dad and my,
Yeah,
like,
exactly,
that
man.
they
But
inherited."
yeah, but people are people, bro. And
Mhm.
in that same, you know, respect, we all have individual experiences that have brought us here. You know, everyone's an individual. So, you know, I mean, to compare yourself with someone else, it's just I don't think it's productive whatsoever.
I think it can be.
In what way?
Have you heard that phrase, comparison is a thief of joy?
Never.
I seen, it's like I don't know, maybe like on Instagram or TikTok, and there's this kid, right? And he's gonna like lift weights,
Okay.
and the girl's gonna spot him. And she's like, damn, you know, like you're doing like 70s. He's like, it's actually not that impressive. And then she was just like, you ever heard that comparison is the thief of joy? And he was just like, she's like, it is impressive. And then I thought about it,
Oh, I
and
see what you're saying. Yeah, because you're yeah.
comparing yourself to how much that guy lives
No,
or
but
whatever it is.
absolutely, bro.
But I'll keep it like on the fitness thing, right?
Hmm.
So I could go to the gym, which I do, and sometimes I see people and I'm like, that motherfucker's in shape,
Yeah.
right? And then I could be like, and I'm not,
No.
right?
Yeah.
So it's a thief of joy because
Yeah.
I'm comparing myself to someone who is more fit than I am. But at the same time, I go use it the other way because I'll look at someone who's not as in shape as I am, and I'm like, and again, nothing against them, but I'm like, fuck, at least I don't have that much to go. Because there might be somebody who is way more out of shape than I am. So I
Mhm.
can use that comparison and be like, oh, okay. Like I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I'm not doing as good as this guy. If I compare myself to that guy,
Yeah.
I could be like, oh fuck, man.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, but even then, I don't know, my thinking, even then, I wouldn't want to just be like, oh, at least I'm better than this fool,
no, it's
you
not
know?
being better. I
Or at
don't
least
look
it's
at
not going that well, okay,
at
there
least
you
I don't
go.
have as much work to do as that
I feel.
person.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Or again, I can compare myself to like, fuck, I don't have a mansion. I don't have the expensive car. I don't have this. I can compare myself to people that I know or people that we know.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I do know some, yeah, exactly.
So you can
Yeah.
use that comparison of like, I'm not doing as good as someone that I know.
But we have to accept ourselves for who we are.
Exactly.
And once we accept and love who we are, we find our passions and we go our own little journey. It's just taking, you know, and personally,
Mhm.
it's taken me forever because I'm not, you know, I don't love who I am. I haven't loved myself in a long time, you know?
Mhm.
So I'm barely trying to figure this out, trying to do something for myself with love and joy.
Dude, again, everybody, I think to an extent feels that because I'm like, damn, I should be at a different place in life.
Yeah, yeah, I think
know?
we all get that at different stages in life. I think everyone goes through that, right?
Right. And at any
Yeah.
point when you're in high school, like, oh, I don't have what somebody else has, or again, like you may not feel where you need to be or where you should be. And a lot of times it's your own doing because you haven't put in the effort, time, energy,
Absolutely.
and work.
Absolutely, man.
But
I
even
think
if
that's me taking accountability for all that shit too, you know, because
Mhm.
I didn't, you know, put in the work to go to college. I tried doing the RT thing, you
Mhm.
know, wasn't, you know, didn't work out and all
Right.
sorts of things. It's not like I've been I stagnated or I've not done nothing, you know, just things haven't worked out, you know.
And that's
Eh.
one of the things. It's
Because I don't think I'd be happy either, just being an RT right now, or you know what I mean. Like I don't think enjoy it anyway.
and that's one of the things where it's like you are in control. Another thing that I used to tell my nieces is that you're in control of more than what you think.
Interesting.
Just like if you don't like something,
Hmm.
change it. It's up to you. You don't like how you look? You think you're too heavy? Go to the fucking gym.
Yeah.
Stop eating as much.
Yeah.
If you don't like your financial situation, get a better job. Hustle. Get a second job. Do something on the side. Like, we have control of so many things aside from our emotions.
Whether it works, whether it works or not is something else. It's whether you put the effort in to try it out.
Exactly.
Or, and do it.
But
Yeah.
you're in control of that. You're in control of your fucking output. You're in control of where, again, to an extent. There's some people that, you know, certain situations or certain types of economical things, or like whatever, it's just like, I get it, right? But we are in control of a whole lot more than what we think. And it's up to you when you change your perspective and what action you decide to take. Like, if you're not happy with where you're at, that's on you.
Yeah.
Did you go to therapy? Have you gone to therapy?
Yeah.
Like,
Recently, no.
No,
Yeah,
I'm saying, you know, like
Yeah.
for somebody, right? It's just like, well, I'm sad. And it's like, well, have you gone to therapy?
Yeah.
Have you worked out? Like, working out is a really good way for you to feel better about yourself or happy in
Dopamine.
general. Being outside, fucking vitamin D, fucking all these different things. You're healthy, you're probably going to be happier. All right, cool. So if you're not happy, have you exhausted all your options, or are you just fucking sitting there and wallowing and saying, woe is me? If you don't like your financial situation, have you asked for a fucking raise? Have you looked for a new job? Have you done what you needed to try to change what you don't like about yourself, about your life, about your situation, about your relationship? You're in a shitty relationship? Did you go to couples therapy? No? Did you fucking tell your girlfriend that you don't like it when she fucking does this? Or like...
No. Yeah, whatever it might be.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
you're in control of a lot. You just have to decide to steer that ship elsewhere. It's like, if you're on a fucking ship and you see fucking iceberg right ahead, did you try to change...
Why are you going straight ahead?
Did you try to change course?
Exactly, yeah. You know, but when you're in that, you don't think that. You know what I mean? This is all like a hindsight, clear-headed. You know, I've
Monday morning quarterback.
Yeah, exactly, at the water cooler. But I mean, like, yeah, that's a goal. That's a goal. That's what I'm trying to do. That's, you know, I'm trying to be better than I was yesterday. Fuck, dude, that's all I can do. You know what I mean? Like I said, you know, like you do the best you can. You try to reach out. You try to, you know, mend some bridges if you can. And if you can, it is what it is. And, you know, bless you. Yeah.
Do what you can, man.
Do what you can, right?
It's like, do what you can on everything. I was even, I've thought about this for a really long time. It's something that I've always wanted to do. It's something that I will do. I want to do a comic book.
Oh, sick.
Right? Again, I can't draw for shit. But guess what? Don't need to. I'll find a workaround, right? I'll take a goddamn picture. I'll put it on CapCut. I'll make it into a comic book thing. I'll put my little comic book bubbles. I'll make it work. I'll find out a way to make it work. And I've written a couple of times.
I have an idea.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me.
We'll talk off air because this is like it might be because I had like a comic book idea that kind of synced with music and like an anime almost, but not Japanese animation,
No.
but like regular animation.
Yes.
And yes. Okay.
Dick.
All right.
So to me, I ask people, it's like, you ever think about your life like in a comic book? Or
Ooh.
like as a movie?
Uh-huh.
And people say no a lot of the times. And it's not like I'm like super into comic books. I had them when I was little and stuff like that. But to me, it's like, what better story to tell than that of your own? And then you can make it how you want, how
That's so
you
fucking
viewed it,
cool.
because
Yeah,
it's your
yeah.
perspective,
That's
right?
so fucking cool.
So let's say the fucking...
Here, I got a story for you. I got a comic book story you can do.
Lay it on me, daddy.
All right. This is the very last gig I've ever played with the band I was in. We were supporting this band called The Ruts, or The Runts? No, The Ruts. Oh, no. From Ireland. Who were they? Was it The Ruts?
The IRA.
The IRA. And anyway, we're supporting them. I was on a binge for a couple of days. By then, I lost my passion. You know, I was phoning everything in. You know what I mean? Fucking up on the songs, whatever. Here I am, happy go lucky, all fucked up and shit. You know, I'm walking up, and I walk up to my band, and everyone's like this. I'm like, hey guys, what's going on? I'm like, yeah. I walked up, and like, yeah, we gotta talk to you.
They're voting you out?
I walked up on my vote out of the band, bro.
Oh, damn.
That was fucking dope. It wasn't. It wasn't. It was. I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, yo, you know, we should just go separate ways or whatever. And I'm like, hey, I understand that. So it's cool. I mean, that's a good story. That's a cool one to comic to illustrate. All happy. I'm just like, hey, what's up, guys? With a beer in my hand.
But I've always thought that, again, to me in my life, like you'll be in my comic book
Oh,
because
nice.
you're a part of my life.
Yeah.
And I think for me, like all my friends are superheroes
Yeah,
to an extent,
that's cool.
right? Robert's a superhero.
Yeah, he is.
He saves people's lives.
He does.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna make him into a fucking snake because of his lisp.
You're stupid. What, your
Right.
brother's Magilla or what?
Miguel Gorilla.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, all right. So, like, for example, Miguel,
Mhm.
right? I remember being
Mike, please, Mike.
Ignacio de Luna.
Ignacio.
So I remember, have you seen Enter the Dragon?
Yeah, not in years, but yeah.
So you know how, like, when they do a little fight, when they start, they both hold up their
Yeah,
hands like this,
yeah.
like, so to me and Miguel were doing that shit when I was 3.5 and he was 5 years old, right? So to me, like, that's my training of play fighting to all the fights that we've been into as adults. That's where I learned to fight, is fucking around with Miguel.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And then again, I can go into all the fights that we've been into as like kids and stuff like that. But it's like, for me, I can take my life and then I can animate it and then I can put it as that's like the training montage, like being a little kid and fucking wrestling with his big ass being on top of me or something like that.
Coming off the top rope.
Right. Fucking him power bombing me in the fucking like living room or whatever.
Yeah.
But to me, like, I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, fuck, like, what would I call the comic book? What would I call it? And then I was just like, dude, I actually need to write this shit, right? And I also want to leave a story behind for my nieces to know and understand who their uncle is and was, and they're in our side of the family, and then who your daddy was and who your uncle is, and like all these different things. And like you said, the work that we try to do with like giving back and stuff like that, it's just like, this is an opportunity for you to find out who I am. This is an opportunity for you to find out who your dad
that's
was.
cool to get
right?
to know me a little more and what shaped you, and you know
Correct.
what you remember, what stands out for you right now.
And why I do the things that I do, which everything that I do has my nieces in mind. Why the fuck do I work out?
Because you're a
I want
family person, bro.
Because I want you to have a good example of someone who's healthy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why all those like different things. And I was thinking about it like just 2 days ago, dude. And I was just like, I'm just gonna write at the end of my day, kind of like a journal entry or something like that. And then I was thinking, I was just like, I might call it like current page, right? Or fuck, I have it in my notes or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's today. What am I doing currently? It doesn't matter. Because what if I fucking die tomorrow? So it's like, what did I do the day before I died, right? And then how do I look at my life like in like a comic book? So then it's just like, now I got to make sure that everything that I'm doing today is something positive.
Wow.
Like, if I fucking die tomorrow, it's just like, well, what did I do the day before? I did something positive. I got to talk to my buddy, and then we got to express how he feels and his trials and tribulations, and maybe this is going to help somebody, or maybe it doesn't. It doesn't fucking matter. But it's just like currently, like today.
Today, this is where Yosi Maricinos is at.
Whereas
Diego.
Exactly.
Where we are at right now at this point.
Exactly. And then it's a way for me to try to continue to be positive and to do good things and to be a good person and to help out and to give back and to do all those different things. And if I can do that, a
lot of that comes with like a good support system too, man. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, you want to be a positive influence, you know? I think adults too need a, you know, like some of them, you know, you see people succeeding in life. You see people, you know, doing the best they can. And just because, you know, they keep, you know, positive influences in their life.
You have to, man. It's, show me 5 friends or 5 people who do drugs and, you know, you'll be the 6th.
Yeah.
Right? You are a product of the 4 or 5 closest people, you know, like near you or next to you or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. But at the end of the day, I was the one shoving everything on my nose. You know what I mean? It's nobody's fault but my own.
No.
You know? I want to take accountability, responsibility. I'll say both, you know, for all that. But I mean, I'm also not naive, and I'm also, you know, ready to just, you know, I felt like I lived like 3 different lives, bro. You know, we're adult. I'm 36 only. You know what I mean? And when you said something about your comic book, dude, the one thing I've always wanted to do is have my name on a record where I can just put like, hey, babe, you know, to my daughter, hey, look, your dad's on a record. You know what I mean? I made it. And maybe I'll do a little, you know, maybe a solo thing, whatever it might be, whatever genre it might be. But maybe I'll do something like that because I that's something I'd always want to do. I started journaling in in the respect of like my grow diaries every day. I write what I do to them. If anything happens, anything will, if I do anything different, if I stress them, and then I go back and look at them like, oh, how long did it take me to germinate the seed? And then I go back and I have it right there. So it organizes myself, you know, I've never been the one to just get up and clean and, organize it. And I just feel it, bro. And it's crazy.
It's journaling is a good way to get your thoughts out, to mind dump, to kind of organize your not only your thoughts but your feelings.
Yeah, man.
And I think with journaling, it gives. I have started journaling like semi recently. Haven't been doing it as much, but I have like multiple journals. And then sometimes I'll just go back and I'll look at shit and I'll be like, "This is when I was doing really well. What was I doing that was leading me to feel the way that I was?"
Yeah,
or I
yeah.
was feeling kind of shitty right there. So it's like, what was I doing at that point that I was feeling shitty? And it's just like, fuck, I was still doing the same things. It was this that was going on. What helped me get out of it? So it's like a little reference of me.
Mhm.
And then I can use that as a tool to maybe adjust, like pivot or like do something else. So I think journaling is like a really good way for you to kind of look at past experiences, what worked, what didn't work, and it's a way to organize your thoughts and your feelings. So again, maybe it's selfish of me, maybe it's fucking egotistical, not selfish, but it's like it's egotistical of me wanting my nieces to know who the fuck I am.
I think it's beautiful.
So
I
it's
think
like,
it's because you recognize you don't have that much time with them,
that's what I'm
like
saying.
one on one,
Mm-hmm.
and you just want to do something nice for them. That's admirable. I love that shit.
And it's kind of like that whole thing about like not caring what other people think, right?
I think
Like,
we have to. I think we have to be. We have to be aware of self-aware. We
Mhm.
have to be self-aware of, maybe I hurt this person's feel. Okay. So when a whole thing happened, I had said some bad thing, and like not bad things, but I wasn't myself. I had, I hurt some communities in some of the texts or whatever. But I have friends coming up to me who they're just like, dude, I know who you are, all this. I know exactly who you are. I'm with you day by every day. I used to be with you every day, and so like, just get over it. As long as you know that's not you, just
Mhm.
keep living your life, man. And so I don't know, man. I think that shit's fucking. You got to be self aware. You got to be self aware that you're doing. But I wasn't because I was all fucked up. But I don't want to use that as a crutch.
Right. It's being self-aware, I think, is a double-edged sword.
Well, I mean, you said about pleasing people, right? Or about making people. What'd you say?
Not necessarily, but that's what not caring what other people think.
Mhm.
Because, dude, like I constantly don't post shit because subconsciously, even consciously, I think people are gonna judge it.
Well, I mean,
And that's
everybody
what I'm
judges
saying.
everything.
And that's what I'm saying. It's
It's
just
human
like
nature.
I've got to lean into this. It's like, well, I'm not making it for anybody else. I'm making it for myself.
Yeah.
If you fuck with it, you fuck with it. And if you don't, you don't.
Well,
Right?
that's why I only sold like the band shirts I liked. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna sell like a band I don't like.
Right.
That's why like it gave me more interest. I'm like, oh, maybe I should get this shirt or that shirt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it made me more. It made me feel as if yeah, people like the shit I was putting out.
Exactly. And even Hoda told me that today before you got here. He's just like, see? He's like, people like your fucking artwork.
Of course.
And I was just like, I know. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
you just got to put yourself out there, man.
And it's like, and again, it's like, I'm not doing it for anybody else. I like it.
Mhm.
I'm very happy with it. And I'd be remiss if I didn't do the things that made me happy. And that if I didn't put out what I want to put out, if I didn't do the comic book, because I thought it's just like, oh, people are going to talk shit or like,
It's not gonna
or
look
you're going to do
cool.
this. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not doing it for you.
Yeah.
But even though I know that, it still holds me back of the feeling that you're potentially going to be judged or that people are going to talk shit about it or people might not vibe with it. But it's like we need to get out of like our own.
I thought I got over
headspace.
that by being in a punk band. By being in a punk band for 10 years. And like those were some lean years. There was like not much of a scene, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And so, like all my friends were, doing great productive things, and I was just playing gigs on the weekend, you know what I mean? Picking up dead bodies with the homies Ben when I worked at the mortuary
Mortuary.
too. So like it was crazy. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel as if yeah, I don't know. I fucking I don't know.
Yeah, man. It's do it for you. Don't do it for anybody
I have
else.
a question for you.
Mhm.
What's your favorite punk gig you ever went to?
I don't think I've been to many punk shows. I haven't seen. I mean, I caught a little bit of the Attics when I went to Coachella, just
Ooh.
like the ending
Oh yeah,
of it. We got there like a little bit
I love
late.
them.
Dude, I've been to a lot of shows,
Hmm.
like a lot of concerts, a lot of shows, but like more rockabilly and psychobilly shows than like actual like punk.
Okay.
Like I would say like backyard punk shows.
Okay.
Like there was a band out of Fontana called the Hypocrites,
Cool.
and they have, dude, I think I still have the email that has like the like EP that Ivan Lopez,
Oh, Ivan.
yeah,
Hell
Big
yeah.
Ivan, that he had sent to me. But as far as like shows, I know I have seen like some, but like none that like really like stand out.
Nice.
But yeah, man, I like the music, right? And I like what I like. There's certain music where I'm just like I'm good on that band. Like I was talking to somebody the other day and she's like, "Oh, have you heard this?" And I was like, "Not for me."
Hmm.
Again, like nothing wrong with it. But like I don't like the like pop punk.
No,
No,
I
dude.
don't either. I like a couple bands. That's about it.
I don't like Green Day.
Well, I mean, I consider like No Effects pop punk.
Sure.
So, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into like the whole punk rock
Yeah.
little parameters now.
Exactly, right? So like to me, like I don't like all right, Blink, yeah, you have some like popular songs, some like catchy songs. I
Yeah.
will never put on Blink 182.
Always, I
I'm
will love Brian. If you're out
Brian
there,
Moran.
if you're out there, I will always listen to it.
I'd go to see him. I'd never pay for a ticket.
I didn't pay for. I want to go see him too.
No, I would say I would go.
Oh, okay.
I haven't gone.
Wow.
But I wouldn't pay for a ticket.
I haven't gone.
Like, but like they have, some like cool songs. But not really for me. I don't like Green Day. Like at all. I hate his fucking whiny voice. It's
Yeah,
just
I get
just not for me.
Mhm.
Right?
Understandable.
So like for me, that's why when I was at Doctor Strange and I was getting like all those patches, and I was just like, I'm gonna put the patches of the music that I like,
Hmm.
right? So for me, like as far as like the punk bands that I like, Minor Threat, GBH, Bad Brains, who
Ooh,
else?
GBH. Oh my
Oh
god.
yeah,
Yeah.
UK Subs.
I saw them last year. They're still good.
The Clash, and even like the Clash, some people don't really consider that punk. It just kind of depends.
I do. I just not a big fan, but I like a few songs. I used to hate
Yeah.
them, but you get
Yeah.
older, you know.
And it's just like, oh, okay, like
Yeah, it's not bad.
I'm not anti it anymore.
Spanish bombs and stuff. It's good.
Mhm.
Good stuff,
Yeah.
man.
So it's again, I'm not like a punk aficionado,
Yeah,
but
but
you
just
know,
you were always surrounded by it. You had people around you. Yeah,
yeah, of course, like hanging out with like you guys. When we go to Galaxy games, we listen to fucking
yeah.
a lot of different like bands and stuff like that. And then
Mhm.
also, I kind of forget sometimes. I'm like, oh fuck, I really like this song.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really like this band or like whatever it is. But I like Dead Kennedys. There's a lot of bands that I like, and there's a lot of bands where I'm like, I don't even know who they are.
Yeah, I get you.
I don't know a lot of their songs. I might know like one song,
Mhm.
Fear.
Yeah, Fear. I love Fear.
Yeah, so
You know, like one song, right?
exactly,
Good enough.
and that was playing in my car fucking
Good
yesterday,
enough.
right? But I
Yeah.
don't know their discography.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know everything about them.
Uh,
This is like, this is a snazzy little tune. This is
For
a song that I
sure.
like.
But you know what? That's why they're called subcultures, right? Because you got to dig a little bit. You know what I mean? Unless otherwise, it'd be called mainstream cultures. And that's why when you're a kid, you get kind of bored and burned out. And like, oh, why do you dress that way? You look like a racist.
Mhm.
You got big boots and you got a shaved head. And then it's like, do I want to fucking explain the history of subcultures in
Sharps.
yeah, whatever it might be, into a 1 minute, explanation?
Snippet, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't know, because I'm an idiot. I don't know.
Yeah, it's-
But then again, you're talking to normies or whatever. But that's what I mean. That's what I mean about like subcultures and stuff. It's like you got to dig deep. You got to have a little more critical thinking.
Yeah, and it's again, sometimes people will judge people just because of like how they're dressed, right? So like most people don't.
I hope not. I hope not that like our age, But yeah, I see how it gets. Yeah, I see how.
But if you look at, say, you
Okay.
back in the day,
Mhm.
or even more so Ben,
Yeah.
white boy, skinhead, Doc Martens,
Yeah.
bomber jacket, rolled up pants,
Iron Cross T-shirt.
skinhead.
Yeah,
And
grinders.
skinheads are fucking usually racist.
Yeah, definitely.
But then,
Not usually. That's
well, some
public
but-
perception.
Exactly, public perception,
Yeah.
right? Or you think, or depending on how, let's say your movie repertoire would be if you what the fuck's that movie? Romper Stomper, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think people associate skinheads
Oh,
with.
definitely. Yeah. The mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skinhead. And also,
You're gonna get me in trouble.
racist fucking song.
Yeah,
Love
very
it.
racist. You
I
love
love
it.
that fucking song.
Oh, that's the worst.
Really?
Just because it's catchy doesn't mean it's not a bad song.
But that's what I'm saying. It's catchy. And even like the fucking movie.
You know what? I've seen like maybe half of it.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't
Good movie.
finished it. No, never. I never.
Hondo, Gooks, at the Broadway Hotel. You're
the worst, bro.
Fucking Russell Crowe.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I just connected with the subculture. You know, the whole like dressing well.
Mhm.
You know, working class. I always had a job, whether it be high paying, low paying.
Right.
I always worked. You know what I mean? That was just.
But a lot of people won't even know that, again, like Sharps, right? So for people who don't know, Sharps are skinheads against racial prejudice.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm saying, if you look at a skinhead, you're like, that guy's a
Yeah,
fucking racist.
Yeah.
But it's just like, there's skinheads who are completely, that's exactly what they stand for.
They're
against
multicultural.
racism.
They're just different. There's, you know, but then like it's up to you to explain it. And then, well, it depends. Like, you know, is it someone you love? Is someone you're going to be around for a while? Of course, I'm going to sit down and explain everything.
Right.
Why it seems odd. Or is it someone who has absolutely no factor in my life, some stranger or whatever? Then it's just like, you know, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice shirt.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever, bro.
Yeah.
So it's like, you do what you can. Yeah, man.
It's different for everybody.
I think so. What, going through it, like the subcultures and stuff, or what?
Yeah.
Or just going through it?
I think kind of like the image that people think is being portrayed because of how you dress or the music that you listen to. So it's like, man, dude, it's like, I like the music, but you don't even know what the lyrics say.
That's exactly what it is. But, you know, people said that about hip hop in the 90s. And then you had fucking Ed Sullivan talking about the Beatles in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had, you know, and the Beatles were taking amphetamines. The Who were fucking eating amphetamine pills. You know what I mean?
I think the Beatles are taking psychedelics.
No, before that.
Oh,
like in the 60s, like the whole mod, because we're part of like the mod culture. And like the Who and the mod, like they you know, rode Vespas and stuff. My generation, you know, he talks about like the stutter because they would be on like speed pills, and it'd give them that stutter. So they intentionally put that into the song because that was like a fucking way of life, dude. Those fools are all those dog. I'm saying generationally, it happens all the time. You have Ed Sullivan, you have people here talking about hip hop, punk rock, just people judging you and, you know, on some shit. And you know, you know who you are, you know who your loved ones are and stuff. So, yeah, man, it's okay. And plus, like, you know, those culture things are bigger in like the UK and Europe, and are not so big here in the United States. You know what I mean? So, if you meet someone from Germany, or Holland, or Netherlands, I mean, yeah, or parlez français, parlez-vous?
Parlez-vous français?
Un peu. Désolé, un peu.
Je voudrais un sandwich et jambon et fromage.
Oh, et fromage?
Et fromage.
Ooh, c'est plus d'argent? Or I don't know. More money, I don't know. But what I'm saying is like, yeah, dude.
Quelle heure est-il?
Here in the United States, so it's not really, it's frowned upon.
Yeah, man. Just I think it kind of boils down to like, be who you are, like what you like, be a good person, and try to
be a good person. I think that's it. But yeah, I don't want to be a contrarian. Because, you know, with every good deed comes, you know what I mean? With every good deed comes a fucking, you know, like, what's it saying?
No good deed goes unpunished?
I'm sorry, yeah, I'm a stoner. That's the
like
one, dog. You know, there's always like contrarians, but I like looking at the bright side. You're right.
I mean, Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility.
Dog, you're right. Fucking, I should trust Ben, my bad fool. How come you don't have Apollo up here or fucking Clubber Lang?
Somebody gave that to Ori.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, somebody gave it to him.
We got to get Clubber up here.
What's your prediction for the fight?
Pain.
Hey, Baba, you've been talking to me for years.
I love it, bro.
Why don't you come over here and see what a real man's like?
Oh, he was one of my big influences growing up as a kid.
Mr. T?
Mr. T. Yeah. Mr. T. Hulk Hogan. Just like, you know, pro wrestlers. I just always want to be a larger than life character.
I'm more of a macho man, Randy Savage.
I'm still larger than life, man. But you know what? I think it helped. Like, you know, I'm outgoing. I speak to people. I don't have, you know, I'm not scared to talk in public and shit. You know what I mean? Or act a fool. So I think it's helped with the communication bit a little bit.
Yeah, you're over here going, ooh, yeah, the cream.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
rises to the top.
There you go.
Dude, I love Macho Man.
That's what's up.
Slim Jim, fucking.
Ah, man, I can't do Slim Jims, dude.
Oh, I love meat sticks.
Oh, you like meat sticks? Thick,
Sprouts.
extra large?
Of course.
Oh my
Spicy.
God. Spicy, extra spicy.
Like I buy meat sticks from Sprouts.
Yeah.
And Honda's just like, I don't like those. He's like, those taste healthy. He's just like, I need that fucking Slim Jim.
Yeah, the grease on it, the
Yeah,
outside,
exactly.
the coating.
Exactly. You get that like
The MSG they spray on
that
it.
snap when you like bite into it.
Oh yeah, man.
You know that. Yeah, he's prefers the ones that aren't as good for you.
I fucking love it.
Yeah, Slim Jims are delicious. And Macho Man was the shit.
Yeah, dude, I agree on that.
Yeah, he was when he was like teamed up with Hulk Hogan,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they had their little.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff
the
like
mega
that.
powers and all that. That was tight.
Mhm.
That was tight as fuck. I might go home and watch that shit right now.
I watched wrestling as a kid, not so much now.
Okay, I have niche interests. My niche interests are very small. It's like pro wrestling since a kid, soccer because I was a fat kid. I got into soccer. I met my cousin Robert through my mom. So my mom and my cousin Robert are sisters, but they were split up.
Your mom and your cousin Robert.
My cousin Robert's mom. I'm sorry, rest in peace, Tia China. They were sisters, but they split up when they came to from El Salvador here. So I knew nothing of my cousin Robert or that side of the family until we met up. I was like 10 or 11, and we met, and you know, it's a family again, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how I got into soccer. I started playing with Robert, and then I played. You know, those are my interests, like soccer. I don't know, punk rock, I guess, reggae, you know, music, growing weed,
growing
weed, and just fucking, I don't know, pro wrestling. So stupid. It's mindless entertainment, but I love it, dude. It's so dumb. Like, I like all of it. I like lucha libre because it's even dumber.
They have lucha libre here at Haven City sometimes.
Do they?
I swear. Yeah, I want to go.
You know, I used to make it out to wrestling shows.
Dude, they here at Haven City, the Addicts played. Fucking Gorilla Biscuits played.
Really?
Yeah.
Gorilla Biscuits.
Swear.
What the fuck?
Like, you know,
I love Gorilla Biscuits, by the way.
I go to get like a Poke Bowl or some shit like that.
Nice.
And like right when you walk in, it was like the Addicts.
It was like the coffee clutch, huh?
I was like, what the fuck? I was just like, the Addicts.
No way.
It was like Gorilla Biscuits.
Oh man.
Like I was like, oh shit. Yeah, they do it at Haven City. They have
That's
some
a fat
like
guarantee, bro.
dude, I was like, that's wild. I didn't think, you know, like bands like that would be playing.
Well, yeah, they play.
here.
They're active. I don't know about here, bro. I know they tried booking that Toyota arena, right? Is that what it is?
No, dick, at Haven City, like right there. And I was just like, oh shit.
I'm out of it, bro. I'm an old man. I never saw myself like a 40-year-old going to backyard gigs and shit. What the fuck?
If you like the music, you like the music, man.
I know, I understand. It's just whatever. I don't know. I'm heading another direction.
Yeah, man, I see fucking old ass people at Coachella. Fucking,
Oh, no, I know. That's true. That's
shit
that's
like that.
different.
It's just like you're there to enjoy the music.
As far as music, who I really want to see before they die is John Fogerty. Like CCR, like Creedence Clearwater, all his music.
They have a pretty good documentary on him on I think HBO.
I'm gonna check it out because
pretty
he's like one of my favorite, and that's like nostalgia, home nostalgia.
Mhm.
I can smell the fabuloso. I can, yeah, dude. It just brings me back. You know, plátanos fritos. You know, casamiento, tomatada.
Casamiento is beans and rice together.
Yes. Oh,
For people who don't
I
know.
am from El Salvador. I was born there. Diego is salvadoreño americano.
No, I was born there.
Oh, you're born there? Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, you know
I was-
my brother, 2 years older than me, born in the USA. Me, born in
Back.
El Salvador and smuggled back.
Yeah, inside of a pupusa like me,
No,
and a bucket of pollo campero.
maybe the pollo campero. I almost drowned in the Rio Grande. But yeah, dude, yeah, and smuggled over, bro. Went back. I didn't get paper cells 14.
Same, 15.
Yes, not carajo.
But we were here on work permits.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, we were here on work permits, and I didn't get residency to.
Oh
work
yeah,
15.
INS, not authorized for work. It said on my social security card. I got my green card. Like it was, dude, I've been having background problems this whole time. It's because I haven't got my shit. Yes, jobs don't call me back.
Dude, that's what's bananas is
It's wild.
the process to become either a resident or a citizen is so difficult, man. Like my dad was on top of that shit for
Dude,
like fucking years.
Okay, the only reason we got that was because my dad was, everybody left El Salvador, for those that know, in the 80s and 90s for a prolonged civil war. Started in 80, ended in 92.
79.
So it's 79, I'm sorry about that. Ended in 92. They had the peace accords, but people were leaving. They were giving visas later
TPS.
in the war.
TPS.
Huh?
temporary protective or something.
Yeah, but they were giving them to like let's say Australia, you know what I
Mhm.
mean, or like Italy. But these are like small, and that was like late in the war.
Yeah.
By when we were brought or whatever, we just came because like fuck it, it's LA, you know what I mean. And so like the asylum thing had passed, and there was a program called NACARA that we qualified under. It was for Nicaraguans, Guatemalans, and Salvadorians who were escaping persecution from civil wars. And that's the whole reason I ended up getting the green card, and in so doing the citizenship after that. Like otherwise, that shit would have been closed. You know, asylum and all that stuff, that's closed. I would have still been illegal, you
Dude,
know?
the Salvadoran
I
Civil
still
War.
feel illegal. I don't like football.
Stupid.
I don't like football.
That's funny. The Salvadoran Civil War is fucking wild.
Super
dude.
wild,
Like,
bro.
dude, my dad has always told me about it, and I've seen a lot of stuff on it, and like the CIA and
Yeah.
fucking like
Oh,
funding
dude.
both sides of the war.
I've been listening to podcasts about the CIA
Bro.
and stuff, and you know, involucrados involvement in El Salvador. Wow.
It's fucking bananas. And what they would do, and like kidnap the little kids when you turn 12 years old. They'd go to, you know, to like the school and then fucking read out a list of names of kids who are going to be 12.
Conscription.
Yep. And, you know,
My dad said he ran from one.
Yeah.
He said they got him because he was working with his uncle, but they rode by and they seen this fool. He's like, oh shit. So he booked it and they went after him like, nah, like he's old enough. You know, he looks old enough. And so, yeah, child soldiers is the norm. If you look back on images on Google for El Salvador 1980s, whether it be rebels or, you know, government funded, US backed and trained, they were children.
Yeah.
13 years old, 14 years old.
Yeah, dude. My dad actually told me a story that there was a guy that he worked with at the bank. And he went missing for like a while.
Wow.
Right. And his dad would like go and, you know, like he'd go to the police station and then he's just like, I know you guys have my son, you know, like this and that, blah, blah, blah. And finally, like, I forgot how, through like somebody higher up in like the military or whatever, like, yeah, like they had kidnapped him and they had been torturing him for a week. And the reason that they did that is because his wife said that he was a gorilla. And the reason she said that is because she wanted his pension. So my dad said, he's like, dude, when he came back, he was like a shell of himself, super like skinny. They would like ice cold water, battery to the testes.
Yeah.
And just because the wife was just like, you know, oh, he's a, what's it called? He's a gorilla.
That's terrible.
And like one of the ways that they used to determine whether you were or not was if you had scraped elbows, because that was part of the training to like crawl and stuff like that.
Wow.
So they'd be like, oh, fucking like roll up your sleeves. So, you know, and that was a way to like determine if you were like a gorilla and stuff like that.
That's wild, bro.
Dude,
I want to dig into my genealogy. I'm proud of my Salvadoran heritage. You know what I mean? I was born there. I grew up here. I've only been back once, but you know, I'm proud of it. I go for the national team. You know, when I was a kid, I wanted to. Okay, 11-year-old Yousif wanted to either be a pro wrestler or captain of the El Salvador
national team. What would be your wrestling name?
Fuck, I don't know.
You don't know?
Oh man, I don't know. But I know I was gonna be all yoked out, and I was just gonna, I was gonna win the Royal Rumble. That's all I knew.
Somehow, some way.
That's all I knew, and I wanted to be the captain of La Selecta of El Salvador national team, like Cienfuegos. And so those were my metas, you know, those are my goals. But you know, back, you know, small Salvadorian community, especially where we lived. You know what I mean? We all kind of knew each other. You know, there was like a couple of pupuserias in town. You know, dude, trip out. I just talked to my mom. She's talking about retirement, right, here in the United States, but she's got to get paperwork from El Salvador. And she's like, "Well, what's my last name? What's your last name?" And we're talking like with my aunt, and she's saying like, "Oh, you know, you tu bisabuela? Yeah. Well, you know, mi abuelita Chus. You know, they call her that Jesus Chus. We call her." Oh, that's not even her name. And it's like, I'm like, what the fuck? She was born in like 1911. Yeah. So they're like, oh yeah. So apparently, the mayor or something had a kid with I guess back then on the day you're born, they name you like the saint,
right,
or whatever. And it was like, I forgot what festival it was, but like, I guess they were
Coachella?
both. Yeah, maybe Inland Invasion.
It was fucking No Values tour.
Yeah, No Values, and exactly, and fucking, and I guess they were both saying on the same day, and EA, she couldn't presumir su nombre, I guess, and so she had to change it, like in El Pueblo, and they saw the fucking zapatero, the shoemaker, you know what I mean, and all that stuff. So like, you know, and she had to leave because in the 30s they were also persecuting indigenous people, like if you spoke your language in Nahuatl or
Los
whatever.
Pipiles.
Yeah, Los Pipiles, and you know, if you're just native in any way, they would persecute you. There was, the 1930s, a matanza, they call it, or whatever. So she moved over here to San Salvador or whatever, and she's from Oloquilta near Santana, or that way, around that way. My dad's from Aguilares, my mom's from San Salvador. And so they moved out here for all that stuff because they were getting persecuted. And that's it, man. It's just, it's nice knowing about your family or where you come from.
Absolutely, man. Like, I like the history. I like history in general. But when I went to El Salvador, this last time, I was fortunate enough that our Uber driver was a retired police officer,
Oh, cool.
and he was a bodyguard as well. He was like private security, and dude, he was super fucking dope. I saw his fucking WhatsApp. Super dope guy, was telling me like all the different like kinds of stories and stuff like that. And my dad has always inculcated the history of El Salvador, and like my dad fucking loves El Salvador, man.
That's cool, bro.
Always fucking talks about it and always wants to go back. Anybody that he fucking meets, ¿sabías? ¿A ti te gustaría ir a El Salvador? I'm like, fuck, to everybody.
Yeah, he's like, hey, cómprese un terreno. Ahorita, cómprese ahorita.
We got 3.
No
just
way.
Recently, yeah.
Are you going to build on them?
Yeah.
I love it, bro.
When he went this last time,
He fell in love again, huh?
No, dude, he's been in love. He never fell out of love. But there's like lots, and then we bought 3. And since I have the Dewey, I still have like all like my shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I had to renounce that when I became a citizen, bro.
I'm not a citizen. I'm a resident.
Uy!
Uy,
que rico.
But dude, in El Salvador, like, I would want to do the 23andMe, right? Mom Salvadoran, dad Salvadoran. But they say that my mom's dad is actually German.
No way.
Is a German.
Really?
She never met him, doesn't know him or anything like that, but he's a German.
That's, I can imagine. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's Chinese in there. You know what I mean? I'm sure, like, bro, like, the president of El Salvador is like from Palestinian origin. Naib. But like I'm saying, there's just in Latin America, there's a blend of cultures, man.
Yeah, man.
I'd really like to learn about that too. I was talking to my mom. She's like, "Oh, what's your your last name? Your dad's last name?" I'm like, okay, so I guess now my real last name isn't my dad's last name. Like real last name. It's his mom's last name that he took. And so now it's like, oh, it's Guillen. I was like,
interesting.
So now I'm a Guillen from my dad's side, but I've always known myself as a Racinos, It's crazy, man. These things are wild, man. It's cool talking to old people. I love talking to old people. Oh,
dude, yeah. It's one of my favorite things.
I love it.
Dude, when I used to work at the bank, because I would hit my fucking goals or like my numbers.
Yeah.
I used to have this guy,
I'm
British
old.
dude.
We're old.
Dude, he was like 80 something. His name was Leon Davey. Dude always came in here dressed fucking snazzy as fuck, and he had like obviously an accent. He was British.
Yeah.
And he would always ask me, "Still got enough to go to Red Lobster?"
Hey.
He would have like 90,000 in his account.
Oh my god.
But he had a tattoo that said "Hot as hell, never again." And then and I was like, "Well, like what's that?" And he's just like, "Well, he was in the Korean War." And he's just like, we were like stationed out. It was like me and my platoon. He's just like, no air support, no nothing. He's just like, just fighting to stay alive. He's like, and it was just hot as hell, never again,
wild, bro.
Super fucking cool dude, man. I love that guy, Leon Davey.
I learned a lot from him.
There was another guy that I used to call Captain El Salvador.
Yes.
He was in the military, right? No. He tall, in shape, and very respectful. Like when my manager would come over, because that they like meet the customer or whatever, always stand up. Oh, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
And then my dad has 2 cousins that were in the military, pilots, right?
Oh wow.
And then one is a pilot for Avianca now.
Wow.
But he actually knew him because he was, I don't know, I think he was a general. He was like pretty high up.
Yeah.
And then I remember he saw my last name. He's just like, oh, like I know.
Merlos isn't common. Nope.
And he's just like, he's just like, I knew of him, didn't know him like directly. He's just like, but yeah, he was or a colonel or some shit like that. But dude, just tall dude, in shape. So I used to call him Captain El Salvador. Super dope dude. Love that guy.
Like one of our close friends or one of our friends, his dad's friends with the next president of El Salvador, who's not doing so well. He's kind of he stole, he pillaged. Yoni's dad's
I didn't even know he was a Salvadoran.
Yeah, Yoni's half.
And
so his dad is Salvadoran, and his dad's uncle was Tony Saca. Tony Saka was
Saca la bolsita.
Saca la
No,
bolsita.
okay.
No más. No más. Please, please. He was a radio presenter, ended up being a fucking, a president of the of El Salvador, and he plundered basically everything. So they caught him. He's in jail. I don't know
shit.
I don't know how he's doing right now. Hope he's doing well.
My mom's grandma, I think, was married to a politician. I'm pretty sure the president. I forgot, but something along those lines as well. Yeah, or fuck, I don't know. I forget. But there's
The thing
something
is,
about that.
I'm thinking like, again, thinking a little deeper, like back then, think of like a population now of the tiny country, right? It was even smaller back then, and everyone's more localized, you know?
Right.
So it's crazy how like, we're older now, the internet, dude, we were alive before
Yeah.
YouTube, we were, adults before YouTube was around and all that stuff, It's crazy how things progress. So,
Yeah.
I think it's a higher chance of everybody knowing each other back then, maybe. Who knows? Well, your dad was a famous basketball player, though.
Famous. No.
Well, over there, the liceo, the high school stuff, they love that, man. That's big.
Yeah, it's more of like areas and neighborhoods and kind of like pockets of like certain areas and stuff like that.
No, they sell out like the gyms, like the gymnasiums. It's still popular.
Yeah.
If you go like and read up on it, it's still popular over there for the colleges, like colegios.
Yeah, like my dad went to La UCA.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's where he got his degree at. No, whatever the fuck, San Simeone. I saw it when I went last time. He's like, that's what I went to school, and that was pretty dope, man. To be able to see all the places that I've heard about
I'd
my
like to
entire
go.
life. Where my dad went to school, where the streets that my dad had to traverse after the earthquake to get back to my mom, who, Miguel was like 6 months old.
Killing your mom, fucking poor guy eating her, fucking feeding, fucking
taking all her nutrients.
Fucking Miguel.
But yeah, man, it's interesting to be able to see all those things like firsthand.
That's
all the
scary.
Stories that I've heard.
That's scary.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I gotta go pee now.
Me too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good?
Let's go.
Well, appreciate you coming in, man. Sharing your story, being open. Always good to hear from you.
I would keep it real, man. I'm always keeping it real.
I'm glad you're doing better, man. I'm glad you're doing well. Congratulations on your sobriety.
Thank you.
Everything that you're trying to do, you will accomplish. If you need help with anything, let me know.
Yeah, well.
Even if you just need to fucking talk, vent, or anything like that, let me know, man. I got you. Always.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate your family. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. Love you.
Love you too, man.
All right.